Look at the first video.
I'm not in the admin account, so I won't be able to see who's commenting all the way. Let's see here. Okay, I see the YouTube just started up.
So good.
Sunset Park, what time is it? It's time to get live. It's time to
represent. Shut up.
I do this thumb thing, and then it would do the little. But that was on my iPad. I guess it's not doing that no more.
You got the.
It's exciting, man. I mean, the live. The beauty of going live is, it's like back in the day when you used to freestyle and you was on the spot when it was your time to go. You get all excitement, a little bit of nerves, and you just want to be sharp.
Yes, you're forced to.
The problem is I wanted to have a punchline in every bar. That was always my problem. I wanted to have a punchline and rhyme all my words. And when you're freestyling, of course, it's more difficult to do that. And if I wasn't hitting the my standard of perfection in that way, I didn't feel like I was doing a good job. Everybody else was like, "Yeah," but I'm like, "Nah, this ain't hot." I feel like I was MJ, whatever that MJK, whatever Machine Gun Kelly talking to Charlemagne, or Safari with dealing with Charlemagne.
Oh man, that was bad. That was bad. But you know, that's why I prefer when I used to hear people freestyling. I prefer to hear the writtens.
Yeah,
when they're going off the head, I'm like,
we ain't gonna start breaking down lyrics and breaking down songs or something. You know, we got to start doing that at some point in time.
Yeah, we got to, man. Soon.
We got to get into all that because boys think they know what bars are. They think they know what lyricism is. They think they know, and I'll be hearing some of the weakest punchlines. I'm like, that's not even. That's trash. It's a cheap point. It's like
it might be different standards. I mean,
so that's what we got to get into. So different standards or different preferences. That's what we got to get into.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah,
because I think it's definitely different preferences. But to me, I think most people aren't even aware of the standards that go into this stuff. A lot of the things that people do on an everyday basis organically, and the conversations that we have in the barbershops or whatever at work, a lot of that stuff, there is metrics already available to us that we can employ to better assess what we are critiquing. But most of us, we learned it in school, but most of us didn't pay attention. That's the tale that we always get into. Every time we talk about these kind of topics is how many of us really paying attention. That's always the story.
Yeah, but the standards. When you think about the standards, it's just gonna go back to New York, the Mecca. Hip hop.
For the standards, yeah, as far as like what hip hop is and whatnot, but I mean like the standards that go to figurative language that poetry is always used.
Oh, that's deep.
When you're measuring, you know, meter and scansion and foot, you know, and their feet. I might be getting that mixed up myself now, but you know, those different ways we measure like assonance, alliteration, double entendres, similes, metaphors, foreshadowing. All the different things that go into making a double, you know, I think I might have mentioned double entendres, triple entendres. I think you see that in the battle rap circuit because, of course, battle rap is just all that rolled into one. That's what battle rap is because you don't have to worry about the beat and you're able to just write freely. So I think
when I watched battle, that's why I think I was telling Freshly this. I said, man, when I watched modern day battles, because, you know, back in the day, they was doing it at Throwback Store, shout out to Murder Movie and Lux, but the way they're doing it now on stage, it's like watching Broadway, man. It's a talent. They're some talented guys, man.
Talented guys.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it comes to the theatrics that you're seeing on there. There's definitely a lot of talent involved. My issue is some of it is too theatrical. It's like, okay, now where's the emphasis on the artistic side of what's coming out of your mouth? Not just the body language, all that stuff matters as well, but these bars got to add up. I'm not even talking about whether the bars are real, but he said, you're trying to talk about you keep it real. Don't even keep it realistic. I think that was Serious Jones.
Serious Jones, yes, Murder Movie. But I mean, you on stage, man. You can't. This gonna be difficult. You have to, like I said, it's performing theater. You know what I mean? You have to. It's gonna be difficult to have bars and have performance arts. That's difficult. There's only a few people that can pull that off only a few people can pull that off. But if you just focus on bars, man, because you got an audience you have to entertain too, man.
Are we
Majority of the audience is.
Are we live on the Vulcan Soapbox page too?
Yeah, we are. Well, no, not on Facebook, but I'm thinking you was talking about the YouTube.
Oh.
No, it was some new rules. I gotta look into. They stopped.
Yeah, they always got new rules.
Yeah, profile pages, business pages for some reason. So let's get into. You want to get to the first video, man?
Let's get into it, man.
Speaking of hip hop, man,
Vulcan Soapbox.
This guy, the legend, man. South Bronx.
We got
KRS-One, man. Yo guy. You can see it?
Love's gonna get you. Love's gonna get you. Let's get it.
All right.
Determine that who you are. Once you say, I'm going to do this, don't worry about where it's going to happen. Don't even worry about that. Some of you may have goals on your head right now. Be still. Stay in the place that you at, but always affirm where you're going. Listen to me. Listen to me. Here, this is it.
Go ahead, pause it.
This is it.
Gotcha.
Be still in your.
This is that mumbo jumbo hoopla that he continues to espouse to a community of people who don't have the critical thinking skills to decipher the sophistry that is being disseminated. And if you take any piece of this, you can make it make sense. You can find a way to apply it. But when it's this vague, I'm just hoping that he's has people around him to let him know, like, hey, look, I really didn't get what you meant by that. Because he's saying, stay where you are, but keep affirming where you want to go. So if he's trying to say that don't put your mind in the future, which is what it seemed like he was saying in the beginning, then how can you affirm where you're going to go? Because that's thinking futuristically. Like when he communicates all these different ideas that he has, one thing that's clear is that it's not clear at all what he's talking about. And people are ooh and ah, and that's deep and clapping. You're like, calling them bars, they're not hot. And I'm just ready for our community to start standing up against a lot of this sophistry and a lot of these charlatans who are plaguing on the low-hanging fruit of people that we have and giving them false hope with this, I call it this disorganized religion that he is championing. Yeah, go ahead.
Body and move your mind. Move your mind around. Most people are moving the body and mind stuck on. This is a microphone. This is a podium. That's a No. First confirm. I am. ... I am. ... Then stand still on your affirmation. It's coming to you. It's coming. It's coming to you like E equals MC squared. It is real. Once you realize that level of consciousness, where you are officially, you identify yourself as the spirit, not the flesh. You are the inner voice, not the outer voice. Once you become the inner voice, now your outer voice has power. Now when you speak, it's not just a shell speaking. There's a being speaking through the shell. And this is where you heal all sickness in your body. This is where you command reality to work with you, and it works according to your consciousness. Why? Because it's not a shell that's speaking. There's a real being in the shell that is speaking. And when the real being speaks, all nature and the universe responds.
Yeah, this is more
Cheat
that
codes.
manifestation, name it, claim it, and whether it's in this church, whether it's at some type of conference, in his hip hop religion or whatever he's got going on right here. All of it's just incantations and new spells.
Wow.
The same old tired stuff that we've seen in the Disney movies, the Sword and the Stone, and all that kind of stuff. And he's repackaging it with his little spin on it. And he's got the long hair, so it looks like he's deep and insightful, and got the incense, burning nonstop. But we gotta, at this moment in time, y'all, we gotta start thinking about this stuff deeply. What did he really say? He didn't say anything. You got the shell, I try to take notes on what he was saying, but it's hard to even form a coherent thought out of it. So it's hard to write down something that was going to be meaningful to me later on, because he didn't say anything meaningful. He's just repackaging old work. That's all it is.
You said repackaging old work.
Yeah, that's all it is. That stuff then got moldy and got rats and defecated in it. It's been cut numerous times. And that's my thing with a lot of this stuff. We're getting a repackaged version. We might as well go to the white people that were talking about this stuff originally. It's still woo-foo-foo-foo kooky stuff, because they're talking about the quantum mechanics, and that the slit, study that they did where two objects can be at two different times at the same time, and it defies our concepts of physics today with the quantum and all that stuff. All these different things you see, at least they're communicating something that you can actually hold in your mind and maybe somewhat ascertain what they mean by it. But this guy is saying, we don't know what's going on. Stay here, but your mind's going. And then he mentioned a microphone and a mic or whatever he was saying. I didn't get the reference. And to me, that just shows people like this, and we've covered many different communicators. But to me, it just shows these guys don't really care if you really understand and grasp what they're saying. Because if you don't know what they're saying, you can't even hold them accountable to it. You don't even know when they're contradicting themselves. When the messages are this vague, you never know when they're contradicting themselves. It all sounds the same. Matter of fact, trying to demonstrate contradiction, which is one of the laws of logic, right, is frowned upon a lot of times in those. Oh, he just don't get it. You thinking like this. You thinking with the wrong side of your brain. Or you don't have your third eye opened up. Or you got the European mindset. You don't understand your ancestral, spiriticisms or whatever. Spiritualities. So a lot of that stuff, you can't hold them accountable. You can never say when they're right. You can never say when they're wrong. If you're talking to a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew, you can at least hold them to the documents they have. You're like, hold on, you saying this, but over here, because at least it's coherent. Whether you agree or disagree, it's coherent. You get it for the most part. You understand where they're coming from. It's very well documented. A lot of stuff these people saying with manifestation stuff, you can never tell whether it's accurate or not. It does not pass the test of falsifiability. It's not scalable. So yeah, a lot of this stuff is just, like I said, repackaged work that's been used, crumbs on the table. All kind of stuff.
So yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth as far as being unfalsifiable. That's, man. I said this on the show before, that on the surface, when you listen to guys like this professing this manifesting your dreams and things that you want, it sounds like freedom. Sounds like you're free, and you're really not.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
We got any comments we can go over from that video or no?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We do. Let's see what they're talking about. The teacher is always teaching. That's fun. The positive energy you consume will work for you.
Teacher's always teaching, but it's like, one of my mentors used to always say, it's not what you teach, it's what they retain. What can you retain from what he just said? Your mind, your body stays, but your mind goes. Then he mentions the mic and stuff like that, and somehow that's supposed to be meaningful to somebody in some kind of way. And I think he makes his money and he gains his notoriety in that ambiguity of, I don't know what he's talking about. It sounds good though.
Yeah, it's definitely ambiguous. But the way I was interpreting,
then he panders to you by saying it's going to come to you. He can't demonstrate that. I mean, the world is full of forgotten people with hopes that never came to fruition. The Bible says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And that's what we live in, a place with a sick heart, because people have so many hopes and dreams that have been deferred. Some permanently, some never realize, some pass before they even get a chance to realize it. Some people sabotage themselves so much and never able to manifest. So when this guy's saying these different things, why not give them something tangible, how to think better? That's what we want to do on this show, is help people to think more critically, how to decipher somebody who's trying to hoodwink you and bamboozle you versus somebody that's trying to give you tools that will help you in the long run to be able to fish for yourself. That's why
we said that earlier, that it's an unfalsifiable claim, because it offers no information about the real world. It's ineffective in a material world.
Yeah, it's incoherent.
You just live, it just go on with that.
Yeah, but I want to say
being accountable to anybody.
And it's unfalsifiable. There's things that I can understand what the person's saying, but it's unfalsifiable. But is this? I don't think there's anything you can really take from what he's saying. And I hear KRS One is great. People just love seeing somebody that looks deep talk about stuff that they know not of.
It looks deep.
Let manifestation. Let's go. There go the manifestation doctrine, and everybody's doing it. You see it in the church, see it out of the church. You see it in the different.
Name it, claim it.
Name it, claim it.
I am the most talented and most well-rounded human on the planet. I'm stronger than before, and I will get even stronger in all aspects of life. I am a chameleon. Well, let me finish this. And I will be the most extraordinary man on the planet Earth. And these type of doctrines, bro, it feeds the ego, man. It feeds the ego. You can tell by these comments. Let's see right here. I am. And let me tell you this. So when he was talking, I was thinking, now this is how I was interpreting when he said, the mind, keep your mind still instead of going action based, right? Just that's what it sounded like to me. He was like, keep your mind focused. And then he lost me when he said some people just focus on the microphone or focus on this. Then I was lost after that. It seemed like he was going somewhere. Then after that was, then it was.
And I
don't know where to go from there, bro.
And that's part of the way they're able to maintain their following, is because you don't really know what they're saying, so you can't hold them accountable. If I go up there, just to give an example for the audience of what I mean, if I go up there and I say 2 + 2 is 4, and 4 + 4 is 9, and 9 + 9 is 17, people are gonna be like, well, hold on. Some people are gonna be like, I'm saying it passionately with confidence. Some people are gonna be like, yeah, right on. That's how you do math. That's how you do arithmetic, right? But some people are gonna be like, trying to take off their socks and shoes and try to add it up and be like, hold on, that stuff ain't accurate. If I start making claims about who was the first president, or when was the first time that America started the war on drugs, those are things that you can actually look up. Math, historical events. But when somebody's talking about these abstract concepts of just affirm these things, and the universe is everything in the universe is going to come bring it to you, they can't demonstrate that. There's no way of proving that. How many folks in the loony bin, as they call it, mental health institutions, believe more strongly than you and I believe that we're actually here right now? They believe they jump off of buildings thinking that they're Superman. It doesn't. The universe don't bring that to them. If belief is the most important aspect of it, then why do people that believe the most not get those rewards? Why are they still psycho?
Well, I get that, bro, and that's for a man that that's considered to have a mental illness. But what do you say to people that say, look,
you hold on, but we may say have mental. Does the universe say they got a mental illness?
Oh yeah. We just assume that the universe is like doctors and
we just assume the universe.
Whatever we think, we just assume
they've done studies on this. Doctors can't tell the difference between people who have mental illnesses and not. There's been all kind of studies done where they'll send people that are not mentally ill and tell them to say 1 or 2 lines, like just say you got this going on, and then they'll get 7 different diagnoses. One of them's schizophrenic, one of them's bipolar. And the same thing. And then one of the guys in particular, he said, he published the whole work and embarrassed a lot of different institutions around the country. So one of them was like, hey, look, I tell you what, send your people over here and we'll be to tell y'all which ones are the real, which ones are the fake. And then after however much time went by, they say, hey, look, we found the people that were real. We found people that were fake. But the guy never sent anybody. So the folks that they found that were quote unquote fake were real. So when they diagnose people with these psychological disorders, this is not, again, like 2 + 2 = 4. They're making judgments and guesses and they get things wrong. And so it's not as accurate as we may want to believe it is. A lot of this mental health movement we see is a money grab. Not saying all of it is. People do need to be counseled. What is multitude of counsel, plans will not fail. So I'm all for counsel, but a lot of it is just a money grab. People, the more mental health awareness there is, the more therapists make more money. The more psychiatrists can prescribe drugs. So,
I mean, you do believe mental health is a real thing, right? You do believe that?
Well, I just said it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Because the only reason I'm asking, and I know you didn't explain that, I'm like,
well, I'm saying, I'm not,
doctors can't tell. I mean, regular everyday people do speculate and suspect certain people do have mental health issues, and they're not doctors. But
we just had a debate on this show. We just had a debate on this. We just had a debate on our show, 6 months ago, with like 4 or 5 guys about whether cutting people off is a mental illness.
Yeah.
Some people think cutting people off is a mental illness.
For sure.
If that's the case, then everybody's girlfriend and wife has got a mental illness. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, my point is just saying that people are going to assume that and say that kind of stuff anyway. Not, we can call anything a mental illness. We could diagnose anything. I just saw there's a new thing. You have introverts, outroverts, and introverts, extroverts. Now we have ultra, whatever the other term for averted is. They created new. There was ambivert. I don't know if that was ever officially one, and omnivert. But now I saw another one pop up. So people keep diagnosing things and adding more stuff to it. How much of that stuff is real? Most of us don't have the time and the research to really figure it out. And they got a lot of money back in their industry. Mm-hmm. A lot of money back in their industry. That's marketing. The more we say mental health, the better it is for them to line their pockets.
And I've just seen a new trailer with Kanye West. They're talking about his mental health. I've seen the trailer. I guess it's a new documentary that's coming out with.
Hey, he might need some mental adjustments.
Okay.
That's not, we all do that every day. If you're talking to one of your kids, you're talking to a friend and you're trying to get their mind right, maybe they're having the self-deletion thoughts or whatever the case may be, or just wanting to leave their family because of something they're embarrassed about. We all want to help people to be able to sort things out mentally, because that's the foundation. As a person thinks, so are they. But going back to what we're saying, we're talking about with the comment. Are we finished the comments conversation we were having?
Yeah, I don't know if did you want to comment on Cool Bean? I don't know if that's working.
Which one is that? I can't read them like you, so I'm just telling you.
Cool Bean said, I am the most talented and well-rounded human being on the planet. I am stronger than before, and I will get even stronger in all aspects of life. I am like a chameleon.
For me, a lot of this
will
stuff
be the most extraordinary man on planet Earth. These guys right here.
Yeah, see, for me, a lot of this stuff boils down to the Bible says, let another praise you, not your own lips. Let another praise you, not your own lips. And nobody does a good job, a responsible job of helping people decipher what's actually happening. When you're saying this thing to convince yourself. There's other things you can say that aren't lies. To say I'm the best. Everybody speaks hyperbolically and says they're the best. We get it. We all make jokes and stuff like that. As long as you know that you're not actually the best. If you're not even the best person in your family, not even the best person in your neighborhood, only one person can say they're the best. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So everybody else is lying. You know what I'm saying? So it's all well and good until it's something you don't like to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's some comments. Shout out to Jason Rucker said, fellas, What
So
up, Jason?
some
Help the
people,
Bear said, Vulcan, let me know I'm not mentally ill. I'm just an ENTP. Let's go, fellas. Shout out to Help the Bear. Also, Help the Bear said that Charlie Kirk show definitely showed us some some ill Negroes laughing.
I don't
Elevate.
know. I think they're in the majority. I think we might be the ill ones.
Hey.
Be real with you.
Hey, you know what? For the audience, if y'all don't know what Help the Bear is talking about, we did a last show we did a show talking about Charlie Kirk and a lot of his comments and whether they racist, where his comments racist or not, and that's be sure to check that out. It was a really good show. That's what Help the Bear is referring to. All right, let's go to some more comments. Ladybug said, "We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Move your mind and your body will follow." That's what I was gathering from Kara.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to what they're saying there. I mean,
that's what it sounded like he was saying to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would so much separate us from the body in the same way, the mind-body dualism. I don't know what she means by that. That can go a lot of different ways, but I do generally agree with the point that people are need to understand that they're more than just their physical, form. They're more than just their physical shell. But that is who they are. That's a part of who they are. But it's not the whole entire thing. For the people who are spiritual, they understand that. People who are not spiritual will eventually come to understand that.
All right, this coffee baby says this has been my biggest challenge, and I know my mind is much more powerful than my body. Mercury overload.
Yeah, I mean, let's just
this is, and you see this a lot with the conscious community. A lot of the black spiritual practice. When you read in their comments and you go to some of these events, a lot of times you don't have a lot of their practitioners challenging them. You don't see that. You see that in the white culture, but when it comes to these conscious and these black power movements, it's not a lot of people that's actually challenging these speakers, man, and that's what's preventing us from growing.
Yeah, it's considered inappropriate in a lot of cases. I mean, the conscious community, even when you go to, I remember, you know my story. I used to go to different churches and communicate with different leaders and stuff like that. And I'd always do it in decency and order and respectfully. But there'd be a lot of people that would just take it outright offensive if you challenge somebody. If they quote a verse and you try to correct them on quoting a verse, or they have a certain ideology that contradicts what they claim they believe in, and you point it out, there's people that on their side that will start to attack you because they're more. But I've seen that with the Hebrew Israelites. I've seen that with the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. I've seen that with a lot of different organizations and within the conscious community, especially with open mic nights and people are sharing their beliefs and stuff like that. Just not scalable, just made up woo-foo-foo-foo stuff, and they want you to believe it. And I'm not completely against woo-foo-foo stuff all the way, but is it useful? Is it true? I remember listening to Zoe Williams talking about, he loves his mom so much he didn't take her out of the church, even though he's, transcended the church. And I'm like, because you have nowhere to take her. If she would have taken on your beliefs, where would she go on Sundays or Saturdays or Mondays or Fridays? There's no community there. Institution building. That's the church. Historically, with the broader community, with the black community, it all started with the church. There's thousands of religions in the world. Ain't none of them did what the church done. The closest would be Islam. You can give Judaism credit for being the precursor to Christianity. But outside of that, none of them have done the stuff that the church has done around the world.
Nowhere near, man.
Hindus ain't giving money around the world like Christians are. Buddhists ain't giving money around the world. What do you say about those other religions? I think you said that you got to go find them.
Yeah, a lot of the Eastern religions, you got to go. Christianity, what people call the Western religions, which we had a discussion about that because Israel, that's considered it's considered the East, Middle East, right? That's what Israel at, and some of these places in Africa obviously is considered the East. But like some of these Buddhist temples, You have to go to them, and it's somewhere in a cave somewhere where they're praying at. You got to go to the mountains and find these guys. You know, it's different for Christianity where they actually come to you and evangelize.
They coming to you. They risking getting speared.
Yes,
they're going to be getting killed by the animals and all kind of the mosquitoes and different types of diseases they don't have access to. I've been a part of churches that did missionary work. You got these pale skinned missionaries who are going to the deep trenches of the Amazon and Africa with the heat on 115, and going to the Middle East dealing with Muslims and their strongholds where they run the things and they with an iron fist, and they're going over there risking life and limb for it. So
yeah,
and I'm saying that to make the point that people don't understand the riches they have over here and the inheritance that's been passed down to us in the form of Judeo-Christian values. And I think that's pretty unfortunate. But a lot of people, atheists, agnostics, historians, sociologists have pointed out the diamond that's been put in that pressure. Now we're all able to reap the riches of it. That coal, I should say, that was started off as a couple people, 10 to 12 people, and turned into over 2 billion people that do philanthropic work around the world. Go ahead. You got comments?
Yeah, shout out to Health to Bear. He said, I use logic to challenge my father with politics, but it never goes well. So I just don't say anything anymore. Bro seems like it's about to get violent. Hey, be careful with that, man.
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to my boys that I grew up with, and he was like, "You're looking too deep into stuff. You're looking too deep into it. Sometimes smart look too deep into things." And it's like, if you acknowledge those people are smarter than you, why would you think, that you see something they don't see? Like, it's like the arrogance, even the arrogance in thinking that that because you're not as smart as people that you're critiquing, that you can see something they can't see. It's like you're saying they're smart, but then you're undervaluing what intelligence actually does. It gives you a more keen insight. It gives you a better vantage point. You can interpret what you're seeing a lot better, and you see more things more clearly. And I think people don't recognize the advantage it is when you have a elevated level of competency, but then because things aren't coming as simple, some of it is mentally lazy. I boil a lot of this stuff to not intelligence, but just mental laziness. How many times we talk about that? People just being mentally lazy. They don't want to think. You know how hard it is to make somebody think. We, in sales and business, we have to call pattern disruptors or mental disruptors, where you say something that's so off the beaten path of what somebody would say in response to something, or the way somebody would initiate a conversation. It forces them to think. I remember I'd be in church, and somebody might walk by me that hasn't seen me in a little while, but hey, man, brother, how you doing? You doing all right? And I'd be like, how much time do you have? And well, my family's in the car. Well, okay, cool. Talk to me later when you get some time. That because they were on autopilot mode, and me saying that brought them out of autopilot mode. Like, hey, look, if you're asking me how I'm doing, you want to catch up, then how you gonna do that when you're walking towards the door? And so like those pattern disruptors, mental disruptors, when you make somebody have to think, take them out of autopilot mode. That's a skill that has to be developed if you want to have conversation with your family about politics or whatever the situation is. When you get them to question the presumptions they bring to the conversation, that's difficult, because sometimes whenever you attack somebody's assumption that they already look at you as being ridiculous, because that's like the foundation of their belief. And they're going like, hold on, you're not even going to agree with me on this. Okay, now you're just being ridiculous. Now you just want to be different.
Man, it's hard to bring somebody out their assumption and the perception not to look at you, though, man. That's
facts. So we got any more comments? We want to go to the next video?
Yeah, we're going to next video. Let me just do one more comment. Life says, conscious, not mind. Conscious dominates the mind. You are not the mind. The mind submits to you. Thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts on that.
You said that's,
I barely even listened to you. I thought you were going to say something about it. I barely heard what you said. I don't know you're reading it to me for me to check. I thought you were saying you wanted one more comment you wanted to go over. You wanted me to go over it. Okay, well, sorry. Say it again. I'll take a shot at it. I didn't know.
Yeah. One more comment I want you to address. Let me say it that way. If I wasn't clear. Consciousness, not mind. Consciousness dominates the mind. You are not the mind. The mind submits to you.
I mean, I'm not going to split hairs on that. I mean, to be conscious typically means to say that you have a mind. You're not just operating off an instinct. You know, because you got to think when somebody's a vegetable, they're laying in a hospital on a ventilator and they're a vegetable. You know, they're still breathing, they're still doing things because that stuff doesn't require. That's involuntary, as we would say. But they're not conscious anymore. So you're not thinking that their mind is really at work. Now, there's a debate about whether they're dreaming or not. Who knows? You know, that stuff can get a little wonky. But what he's saying could be true depending on how you want to take it. I wouldn't split hairs on it for the sake of this stream. Well, yeah, we can go to the next video. Hollywood video.
Why did Harris' face look like that?
You already shared it on your page, the live?
No, on my page. I can't go live on my page, man.
No, I'm saying did you share the live that we're on now on your page?
On what page?
You don't have a Facebook?
Yeah, I can't share it on my Facebook page. I have to resubmit something on the StreamYard. So
oh.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I got you. All right, cool.
All right, let's go.
So hold on. I guess hold on before you play it. You know what to do, right?
There, you're going to introduce the video.
Okay, there we go. Somebody's got to do it. There we go. So this video right here, and I hope we found a decent clip of it. And we might have to look for another one if it's not doesn't have enough context in it. But this is Aries Spears. I think it's called the Spears and what podcast? I forgot. He has a podcast.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of his co-host. Spears and Stein. I think it's Spears and Stein. And they're talking about the Charlie Kirk situation. And I think this is a really good picture for people in the audience to be able to see all the folks to appreciate critical thinking. What do you mean, come on, man? What's going on? You talking?
Oh, I hear you. I thought you said, I misheard you said this is a good picture. That's the last part I heard.
A good picture of him?
Yeah.
Oh,
look how he's looking right now.
No. I was saying this is a good picture of the dialogue that we had on the show last week, where you're gonna see this similar point. I'm unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I'm the white guy on this part right here. And then the guys that I was having the discussion with, they're Aries Spears. And you see how these conversations tend to go. I even thought about, remember when we did the Hannibal Buress was talking to Joe Rogan and Sam Harris?
Yeah.
Did you ever end up checking that out?
Yes, sir. I did.
Remember how, like, you know, there's this desire to have other people absorb your assumptions and think off of your assumptions because you can't demonstrate through your words what they need to understand to agree with you. And so you can't have a convincing point because your inability to articulate what you're trying to say, if there's even anything there. I think a lot of times there's nothing there. But you're going to see right here when you see them interacting. And I don't know how the clip is long enough, so we're going to watch it to see if it is. But I watched a more extended version of it, and you just see, you know, the two guys trying to explain to Aries the context of what Charlie Kirk is saying. And Aries is not just staying with the context. He just jumps to the next thing, or he just generalizes. He's speaking in a more general way when those guys are doing a word by word exegete, almost, if you will, you know, of it. They're pulling the meaning out of each word and each concept, building upon it, while Aries is going the general view and going with assumptions that he's imposing into what he's saying.
Hold on, one more comment before we go in. I need Negroes around me that don't think. LOL, a friend.
There's a time and a place for that. We need instinct going on. We need to act on instinct, not thinking. Thinking's too slow.
Oh,
I'm a big
talking about women who.
I'm a big Dragon Ball Z guy. One of the things that Wise, whatever his name was telling Vegeta and Goku when they was fighting, he was like, well, the reason why Goku's a little bit better than you at the fighting is because Vegeta, you got to think about every move. You're a tactician, think about every move, while Goku's just going with his instinct. And for you to get to this next level, you got to be able to rely more on instinct than you're relying on your training and your ability to predict. You got to just go. You got to be. It's got to be intuitive. It's got to be instinctual. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Here you are talking about women who just happen to be of color, coincidence, with low IQs. You didn't even finish college if you even went. So I don't need to see the chunks in the milk to know it's bad. I can smell it. So as you sit here and get ready to go, I need to see the whole quotes. He said enough wild that you know his spirit is not in the right place. Here you are talking about women who just.
Well, pull up another video. That's it.
Well, I think we maybe can pull up another video, but I'll say we could do this and then maybe even go into the comments.
All right,
Because the funny thing about it is whenever you got a black person breaking it down, typically online, then the commentary tends to be more colorful as far as who's speaking to the issue. I don't know if this might be more diverse. I don't know whose video this is, but typically if you got a white person's video, they have more of a white audience, and so you get to see the comments a little bit different. But then when you got a black person that's doing the video, the comments tend to be more in the black people, and you get to see you see like a color divide in the commentary a lot of times, and even within the color you see different things. So the white people are gonna debate and argue about the context as well. You can see black people doing it too, but definitely in the black community it's definitely more one-sided. The minority view is let's look at the context of what he's saying. The majority view is you don't gotta look that deep into it. Dude's a racist. Move on.
Mm-hmm,
you know, so what do you think about what he said so far? You got anything on what
just a comment on that. I've been told that before.
So what?
Exact quote. We don't have to look into that. Not only that, people told me we don't have to look that too deep into it. Why are we even giving them the benefit of doubt? Historically, they haven't gave us the benefit of the doubt. So why are you trying to figure out that this is true or not if they don't even give us that same grace?
Yeah, the difficulty with something like that is like, it's just on every single level, it's irrational. One, people have to, and I don't even like getting into history and stuff about saying things because that requires like studying and knowledge, and that's not the purpose of the show. The purpose of the show is critical thinking, taking the information available to you and being able to extrapolate based off whatever the best inference is on the information. That's what this is about. How do you know what questions to ask? How do you know what answers have better explanatory power and explanatory scope? That's what the focus of this show is. But we know historically that certain white people groups weren't even in the land at the time that slavery was going on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like you could be talking to somebody who's Polish. For all you know, you just see a white person, especially black people. We don't make a distinction even between like Jerry Seinfeld and Conan O'Brien. We just see two white guys typically. You know what I'm saying? All white. Mm-hmm. But then there's white groups that don't consider Jews to be white in that way.
At one point in time, they consider Irish, Italians.
Yeah, and so
you got white. They still don't consider them actually traditionally white. So. I mean, legally, yeah, classification, but you got certain people that's on the street. You got some people that still don't consider those other cultures as white people.
Yeah. So my thing with that is that, like, you're saying they haven't given us as your ancestors that you never met.
Yeah.
So and then the benefit of doubt in what? See, this is where it starts to get really convoluted because you start dissecting every aspect of what they said. When they say they haven't got the benefit of doubt, everybody got benefit of doubt in some things. Even slaves got the benefit of doubts on some things. If you were a slave or an indentured servant and you did good work, generally speaking, whether you was in a house or you was in the field, I'm sure you got extended benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. Everybody who has people working for them, even if it's your kids cleaning a room or washing the dishes, will get extended benefit of the doubt at times because that means you trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do. So even saying they never gave us the benefit of the doubt, you can split that up. Benefit of doubt in what area? Now, I would presume would they split the benefit of doubt when it comes to our motives and intentions on doing the right things. Whether you're getting, followed in the store or you're in trial and you got to be judged by, a jury of your peers. So, and there's a lot of accuracy to that statement at that point, the benefit of doubt. But that wasn't you, and I was, and the people that you're assuming the worst about, that wasn't them. And so if we're going to start doing this thing where we start blaming people for what their ancestors did on either side, where does it end? Every people group has done some pretty nasty things.
Let me get to these YouTube comments. Big Tall 8199 says Charlie Kirk doesn't get better when you watch the whole piece. It gets way worse. If they're referring to the DEI comment about was Senator Sheila Jackson, it doesn't. Not for me. It didn't get worse. Now the way he was communicating, I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't think that was okay to talk to an elder like that. He
didn't talk to an elder like that.
He didn't talk to him, but
he was talking about it.
Yeah, making fun of an elder.
About that.
That part was not easy to watch. But when you listen to the words you say, what he's saying, we actually covered this video last week on the show. It actually brings more clarity for me. It brought a lot of clarity. It didn't get worse for myself.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody at that age should be talking about an elder in that way, and then calling somebody dumb and not smart enough.
Yeah,
I don't like any of that stuff. I think that's inappropriate. But to say it's racism, that's the part where I draw the line, because anybody who watches CNN and Fox and all that stuff, you're going to see people call each other dumb and stupid and make fun of each other, the left and the right, do it all the time.
Yeah.
When it's white on white, black on black, brown on brown, whatever it is, they do it. And so if you switch out the brown on brown and make it white on brown, it doesn't make it racial. You make it, if you make it black on brown or white on black, it doesn't make it racial now if they're on the other side of the line. Not saying that it can't be racial. But my thing is, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm claiming it's this, I'm making a knowledge claim. This is racism. He's a racist. She's a racist. She's acting in racism. Then I'm going to have to prove that claim. And I can't prove the claim by just going, come on, man. You know it. Come on. Don't act like you don't know. You see what I'm saying? No, you got to prove that. Knowledge is justified true belief. Justified true belief. That's the definition of knowledge. So that means you got to be able to justify. You got to be able to make it right. Like explain, show me. Are you saying grammatically are you saying that you're just imposing your assumptions into the words to fill in the gaps where the meaning of the words itself didn't fill it? Then my thing is be honest and just say that. So you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So like we think about this. If you're going to make the claim, which I think some of these people are doing and going, you know what? Okay, that so-and-so's a racist. Then when you're going over it like Aries is with his co-host, or we did on the show, and a person is going like, hey, look, you're not going to be able to tell by his words. These people are perfectly crafting their words so that you can never hold them down on being racist. They're not going to say anything blatantly racist. You see what I'm saying? Then just say that. But I know they're racist, even though they're not going to say anything blatantly racist. Then we'll stop trying to break down the words.
Okay.
I'm not going to waste my time trying to break down the words if you're telling me that your justification isn't going to be found in the linguistics. It's not going to be found in the syntax.
You'll save a lot of time if you say that.
You'll save a lot of time. You want to say I got a sneaking suspicion, or I just know, or whatever the case may be, we can go, okay, it's a religious belief that they have. It's dogma. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. But we can move on from the conversation. But you've exited the intellectual conversation at least. Because in intellectual conversation, you got to be able to explain why you're saying what you're saying. Just keep it to yourself. You want to say God told me, or a little birdie told me, or You know, I just have a
The
good
ancestors told me.
my ancestors told me, or I have the gift of discernment, and I can pick a racist out of a crowd of a million people. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But when people come on intellectual platforms or want to engage in meaningful conversation, productive conversation, then you have to be able to demonstrate that which you are claiming. And I think a lot of people that don't come from that world, they get thrown off by it, they get offended by it, they get frustrated with it, because now I'm saying, hey, look, no, you got to marshal your thoughts. You got to be compelling. You have to make a case. And they feel so strongly about their conviction on the topic, and it doesn't match their ability to explain it, you know? And so now that's when that frustration comes into play. And then you start doing ad hominems, attacking people rather than attacking the argument.
Evil suspicions.
You want to become a cult leader and get people to just, you know, believe your dogma, because that's what it is. If you can't explain it and justify it, that it's your religious belief, and you'll become a cult leader, and you're asking us to just drink your Kool-Aid. But yeah, so you got more comments on that one?
One more comments. Why is there always a need to try to justify racist white people? It's crazy how when it comes to racism, white supremacy, it's always given the benefit that we just talked about that, and excuses are made. But at the same note, we're always supposed to assume the worst of black people and assume that's just who they are. Well, maybe being a racist is just who CK was, Charlie Kirk.
So yeah, I don't like how that's framed, because for some people, maybe there is some type of avocation for that person in particular. I know for me, when it came to Charlie Kirk, you know, there was no avocation on my part to favor him in any kind of way. I'm looking at the words. I'm looking at the grammar.
Sure.
I learned this in school. I learned how to look at words, subject, verb, noun, read left to right, top to bottom, and try to
learn that from a great public schools. You learned that from
we learned it at great public schools. And so, you know, we learn how to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. Now, if this happens to, you know, if this happens to absolve him, then it absolves him. If it happens to condemn him, it happens to condemn him. I could care less with the result. I'm focusing on the technique. You know, it'd be no different than if you're working at a job and, you know, the manager gets mad at somebody. You know, we'll say the assistant manager gets mad at somebody about showing up late. But they're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. They show up at 9. And then you walk up to the assistant manager and say, hey, the manager told us to come at this time. He's not gonna be like, oh, you trying to defend this guy? You trying to defend this guy? He's like, nah, I mean, you do what you want to do with the guy. I mean, you can still act in spite of what I'm saying. I'm just telling you that he showed up because the manager told him to show up at this time. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is that people take your explanation or your justification or your assessment of the evidence as advocation, but it's not advocation. It's a way of disqualifying the work the person's done and properly assessing it by saying, hey, look, you're just doing that because you're a fan of them. And they won't even ask you. They don't even be like, hey, are you a fan of Charlie Kirk? Are you a fan of Trump or whoever it happens to be? And you can be yes or no, whatever the case may be. And so, but if you make a point that would absolve them of whatever the allegation is, they look at it as your avocation. Why are we giving them the benefit of the doubt? I don't give anybody the benefit of the doubt. I looked at the evidence. And I forgot what they say again on that last comment. They said, why do we have to explain or justify or advocate for them or something like that? It's like, I'm not advocating for them. I'm advocating for truth, because it works against you. If you are calling people something that they really are not, all you're doing is creating an enemy. Anybody who's ever been accused of something they didn't do.
Yeah, man. Come on.
You know how frustrating that is.
Especially without any sufficient evidence.
Yeah.
You can't articulate it.
Yeah, I was training this guy, and he had told me that a homosexual guy had made a pass at him and made him really uncomfortable. Young man. And when he told me that, he said that ever since that moment, he always thinks people see him as homosexual. So that's in his head now. So he goes out of his way to try to show people he's not homosexual because of that experience that he had. That's just showing like the frustration of being accused of something that you're not. Because it's almost impossible to say anything to somebody who's not giving you the benefit of the doubt. If you're going to have meaningful dialogue, we can't assume the person's a liar on the other end, or there's no meaningful dialogue because nothing they can say to get up that hill. If you deem them a liar, they have ulterior motives, or they're doing reverse psychology, or they're saying things that are not representative of their true beliefs. If you start off that way, then why even have the dialogue? There's nothing you can get from it. Nothing you can get from it. What else we got in the comments? Any other comments you think are meaningful?
Let's see. There's one right here. Oh, I didn't pull it up here. All right, so this comment says, white supremacy functions exactly like a radiator. Its heat reaches far beyond direct contact. Even when white people seem to distance themselves from it, they remain within its warmth, reassuring the globe, never truly abandoning the system that privileged them. That was all right.
Well, I mean, I think part of the issue with stuff like this is that all of us are drawn to systems that privilege us, right? I mean, what is that? The black saying that I hear all the time, the black mantra or idiom or aphorism, whatever you want to call it, maxim that says, "Go where you're celebrated, not tolerated." But that's what white folks did. They went where they were celebrated, not tolerated. So on a deeper level of it. Now, if you are stealing, taking things that don't belong to you, or oppressing people to have privilege, that's wrong in every sense, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's economics, whether it's domestic, whatever it is. We know that stuff's inappropriate. That stuff's wrong. But just somebody having privilege, when you watch the dialogue that happens a lot of times, it's just somebody having privilege. It's like, just because that person has privilege, why would they abandon that privilege? When I played basketball on a consistent basis when I was a younger man that was in shape and fit and jumping, I went to places where it would advantage me. That's what I'm going to do. So, I mean, that's what you're going to find your environment where you can thrive. So are we having, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to touch on what you said earlier, man. Just look at it this way for the audience. I want to speak to anybody that's accused you of something like great or that's offensive, especially when you know it's not true. You got to look at doing a racist act is considered a federal crime. It's a federal crime. You do, what I mean, like murder, delete somebody, and your intentions was you had racist intent. That's a federal crime. So that's a serious accusation to accuse somebody of. I can understand being called that if I was white and you don't have sufficient evidence. That would frustrate me. So I get that.
Yeah, that's the point. And I think that also
people lose their livelihood over this stuff. This is a serious thing. But we our culture we're able to do that and not be accountable for not really be challenged and accountable for calling whites racist. You was about to say something, Vulcan?
Yeah, I forgot.
Let me get a Help the Bear said, I'm not open to any discussion if someone's mind is made up already. I'm not open to any discussion if somebody's mind is made up already. If you think I'm one way, if you watch me long enough, I may do something, something you could see to justify your allegations. Yeah.
Yeah, you see that stuff happen all the time. Somebody will be like, "Hey, you got to watch that guy. He'll cut you off in conversation." So you talking with somebody one day, and you say, "Hold on, real quick." You better say, "Hold on, real quick. I gotta make a phone call real quick." All I hear is, "Hold on, real quick. Hey, don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. They told me you cut people off." Mm-hmm. You're like, "Whoa, I'm just trying to tell you. I want you to have my undivided attention." So give me a moment real quick. But before they even heard it, once you lost that benefit of doubt, you're already going to be fighting uphill battle. And people hate when it happens to them.
Yeah. Hey, you want let me play some of the video. We could just play and pause.
Oh yeah, pause.
Whenever you want to.
Talking about women who just happen to be of color, coincidence, with low IQs. You didn't even finish college if you even went. So I don't need to see.
Oh, and I'm seeing this, bro. I'm seeing this narrative. They keep bringing up him not finishing college. That's irrelevant. Like, I can't remember if you mentioned this on the last episode, but I know me and you, we didn't talk about this for years. You know, watching different episodes with Tim Wise debating certain hosts, and they was disqualifying guys like Tim Wise because they have the same accolades of certain black historians or advocates for the black race, and they will use their credentials against them. So yeah, that's something I'm seeing often, man. Because whatever, I'm gonna just say this before I go into the video. Whatever Charlie Kirk was talking about, the video has that. I can't say that's a fallacy. Well, I just say this: discounting this person for having an opinion about what's going on in politics or any subject matter, is his background, his education background is irrelevant to whatever he's saying. The question is what he's saying is true or not. That's the true question. That's the real question.
Absolutely, it doesn't matter. Again, are you able to? Are you going to share why it's irrelevant?
Yeah, I said because this is a critical thing. So that's the genetic fallacy. Just to deny anybody origin. Oh, this dude's not in college. Just to give you an example, genetic fallacy is denying somebody's origin that whatever they're saying is false. I'm interpreting it my way, right? So to give you an example, like the Charlie Kirk situation, he made some comments saying that, hey, it's a reason why these black ladies was able to get into Ivy League school. Aries is dismissing him, saying, hey, you didn't even graduate college to make that claim. Totally irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, totally irrelevant. And well, I want to say this right here because, and this, this is partly why it's irrelevant. This wasn't the point I wanted to talk about, but we'll get into it. Is because most of the time, are we talking about the person or what they said? Because a lot of times what they said has been said by people who fit the qualifications that you want to see. That was part of that we talked about in the last show. And somebody says he's racist because he said this. A lot of intellectual blacks have said that in the conscious movement. They've been very anti-civil rights. They've been anti-Martin Luther King. Some have been anti-Malcolm X. Some have been anti-Farrakhan. You see what I'm saying? When Vlad, had some comments he took some words out of context, but black folks have taken Farrakhan out of context before.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is it the words or the person? So we're going to say, you can't do that. That's special pleading. You're saying that there's some type of wrong thing, or there's a thing that he can't do because of who he is, but you can do because of who you are, irrespective of what's the actual truth. That's a fallacious way of reasoning.
Special pleading.
But I wanted to get to something he had said that I was going to talk about, but I talked about that first because you brought it up. Oh yeah, he said he happened to be talking about black women. No,
coincidentally,
the context of the video was talking about affirmative action. That's why he was talking about. So he's going to talk about minority groups. Now he's going to talk about non-white males, and black women are in that category. And again, this is a across the aisle, different wing debate. The left doesn't like the right in some circles, and the right doesn't like the left. And again, I don't approve of the stuff that he was saying and how he said it. I don't believe in deriding people and all those different kind of things. I found it extremely insensitive. But I've seen him do that to white people too.
Shout out to Help the Bear. Said Mark Zuckerberg got the whole world stuck on social media. You telling me y'all let a college dropout control the masses? Laughable.
Yeah.
Exactly, man.
Charlie Kirk would be considered an autodidact, somebody who's self-taught.
Oh, yeah.
And people have to understand. I was talking to a friend of mine about this recently about the difference between being intellectual and being intelligent or smart or brilliant, whatever you want to say, and being formally educated, being somebody who's educated. Educated is somebody who's taken in knowledge. Being formally educated is somebody who is being trained by a person or in school or something like that. And then being intellectual is somebody who's a curious person that loves to delve into things and get a more robust, fuller understanding of what's going on. And then somebody who's smart, that's smart or intelligent or brilliant. That's typically somebody who is just has a fast processor, maybe above average IQ score. You know, they do IQ tests on babies.
Mm-hmm.
And so that people got to make a distinction between a lot of those terms. Now, most people use those words loosely. And so it can be offensive. I can tell somebody, you know, hey, look, this is for intellectuals, and they might get offended. Like, you saying I'm not smart. I'm not saying you're not smart. I'm just saying that you're not the kind of person who likes to get deep into things. You have to keep it pretty superficial, quick and easy, and that's fine. That's different than somebody who's intelligent. Some people are intelligent, aren't intellectual. Some people who are below intelligent are very intellectual. So people have to understand that distinction. So whenever you look at a guy like Charlie Kirk, who's not formally trained, hey, put them. You can't have them guns on the screen like that, bro. We on Facebook.
Freshly.
What up, though? Give me a second.
Man,
I'm
energy up, man.
working
Come
on this
man.
mic.
Somebody come.
They didn't have any
Okay.
size.
I guess what I get for showing up late. Calm down.
Shout out to my guy Fresh Out the Bed said a lot of black people will think it is. White people should have let us get out of slavery in America on our own. But we'll get mad at Trump for saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh man. We know you swole, Fresh. Shout out to Healthy Bear.
Calm down, man.
Yeah.
Pause. Dame Dash will be ashamed of you, man.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been seeing them putting in work on Instagram, so I can't be mad at them, man.
What's good, Fresh?
Can't even be mad.
My guy.
What's going on?
Now we talk about Arias and his co-host. Forgot his co-host name. They going back and forth about the Charlie Kirk. What is clips that went viral about Charlie Kirk's comments on DEI. Gotta get into it.
Yeah.
The chunks in the milk to know it's bad. I can smell it. So as you sit here and get ready to go, I need to see the whole quotes. He said enough wild that you.
What's wrong with it? You see how confused he was? What's wrong with asking to see the full context, the whole quote?
Right. That's for everybody out there. That's the purpose of the Vulcan soapbox. Look, this is not us sitting on our high horse going, we're above all these lower level serfs and peasants. What it is like we have a mental laziness epidemic, and we're trying to at least get people to recognize the problem so we can perhaps fix it. And we don't need everybody. We just need the tipping point. We just need, if we can get 10%, we'll take that.
In order to make a sound judgment, what's wrong?
Because imagine if
somebody explains I just want to see the full
imagine if he was in court and the other lawyer said that. Y'all need the
come
full
on, black man.
Y'all,
come on, man. Black man, Aries. If you're in court, come on. Why? This is the thing that I noticed. That's why I enjoy doing the show. You know, when you in the hospital, you're dealing with doctors and they diagnose you. You want all the evidence,
family history, and all of that. What you've been eating the last.
But when you go in your home and have these type of dollars, you don't need none of it. You just leave that stuff in the courtroom and in the hospitals, like stuff that's important. This is your job. You leave all the logic out the window when you have dialogues with your friends and family, man. This is
Racism
insane.
is like a button. Anytime we detect racism as a community, it's like a button. Once you press that, I'm taking this, I'm putting this to the side.
Yeah.
We don't need to get no context, none of that stuff.
Man, come on, man.
But let somebody call them a racist. Aries Spears going to want to show his history and his track record and all of his friends. I do a podcast with a guy named Stein, and he want to go into all the different details.
It's not intellectual laziness. It's willful ignorance. They want a reason to be mad. If they do any of this intellectual research and deep dive and all that stuff, then it'll steal from them their ability to have righteous indignation.
That's facts. No, that is what I would say.
Yeah,
It's funny you were saying that because I was thinking about saying this part too. That's part of the point of this whole thing is like it's people looking at it as just intellectual information. This is also like a character issue, a character deficit. That's why the Bible would say when you judge righteously and don't show partiality, not based off of money,
right,
who you dress, or who's the most eloquent. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Yep. If I'm looking for a reason to not try hard or to sit back and say someone's against me or this is why I can't make it, I'm jumping on every opportunity and I'm gonna lay it out. Man, see, look, this is what they're doing and this is why we can't get ahead in this world. But if you look at most of the successful people that look like us in this world, they don't allow those types of things to impact them. That's not saying it's not happening or it doesn't exist, but the way that like people allow it to get them out of pocket is like it. I mean, I guess it's emotional laziness.
What?
Like I'm looking for a reason to be mad, so now I can say like, well, that's the reason why I can't get ahead. That's the reason why I can't be successful because this imaginary entity is against me. Racism is existing and it always will exist, but it's not stopping people the way that they're trying to paint it as. And if you start doing too much research, you lose the ability to have righteous indignation, and that means you have to do that. That means a lot of the stuff that's going on with you is your fault. People don't like that.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I think it might be Proverbs 17:15. I might be getting that part wrong, but it says anybody who condemns the righteous and anybody who justifies the wicked is an abomination. People got to understand when you're making claims about somebody in any kind of situation, you know, whether you're talking about a fellow basketball player, football player, and you're saying he's not giving his all in practice or whatever it is, you've got to be to substantiate that because you could be condemning a righteous person. You could be, corrupting justice. And that's one of the things our community laments is not fair, just doing the justice system.
But you talking
let me also colloquialize that. Let me colloquialize that.
Say again.
I'll say, let me colloquialize it.
Go ahead.
You can't put a snitch jacket on somebody unless you got paperwork.
Yeah.
You gotta show proof. You can't just put that on them. Otherwise, you might be fooled.
Yep.
Go ahead, Derek. You said speaking of sports.
Yeah, when Vulcan said that when you say somebody's not working hard in practice, the sports reference, I was thinking about. I watched the old interview with Skip talking to Shannon, that viral interview, and when he asked,
"Put your glasses back on."
Yeah, that one. So when he asked Shannon, "What do you think about Tom Brady's performance?" and he was like, "Nah, he's trash or whatever." He was like, and Skip got mad. He's like, "You can't even be objective." And that's when it just flew out because journalists, that's intellect. They take that serious integrity. And that's what I knew is when the interview just went left when he said, "Man, you can't even be objective about Tom Brady's performance this year," and then it just went left. But it just reminded me what you were saying, Vulcan. I'm like, he couldn't really substantiate why he was saying that about Tom Brady. It seemed like it was more of an emotional outburst.
Yeah, just to quickly when we get back in the video, just to state, I think probably the most prominent point that's been communicated is you have Aries Spears on here getting offended and lamenting the fact that somebody wants context.
So I want to see the whole quote.
with Aki and Freshly. What did he say? Context. That's how important it was. He had to yell it twice. We got to get the context on this. So then you can't later on, like Aries is doing right here, be like, we don't need the context.
And you need the context if you are impugning someone's character. Now you can say he said what he said because he did say what he said, and that's not debatable because it's on record. But when you're talking about impacting someone's character, saying that they're a bad person. And it's not me agreeing or disagreeing that Charlie Kirk is a good or a bad person. That's not my commentary. I'm saying with anybody, if you're saying like, hey, this guy is a bad guy, this person, this lady is a bad person, you have to take into context what they're saying, especially because American like language just in general is so jam packed with idioms and colloquialisms that you know it's so commonplace to say things that don't really mean the things that they could mean. It's so easy to take things again, keyword out of context if you wanted to, that you have to be if you want to be intellectually honest, you have to be careful of that. You have to do your due diligence before you impugn someone's character. Like you're a bad person. You said that with the intent to harm.
So Charlie Kirk, I started off by saying in my post, again, as I alluded to here, I wasn't a fan, and certainly whenever he talked about race and things within our community, but I wholeheartedly could look at him and watch him shoot down the transgender thing all day. I don't necessarily agree with his stance on abortion. It's a woman's right to do whatever she wants. I didn't agree with his stance on gun control. So the only thing I agreed with him on was the transgender thing. And again, what happened to him shouldn't have happened. You should be able to voice your opinions without your life being cut short due to murder, assassination. And there were people that were celebrating, which I think is wrong. And we kind of mentioned it last night, where I told you that a lot of people were going, while I don't celebrate his death, I also am not mourning him. And you said that was fair. And I think that is fair because, as this thing is unfolding, there are so many clips online and people cut together like compilations of things that he said, which when you take a step back and look at it, you go, dude wasn't really a good dude. And I want to play two clips that kind of expand on that.
Can we pause it real quick?
By the way,
I just want the audience, I think maybe they're about to say something right now, but want the audience to make a distinction between a good dude and a racist. And even on our show, I didn't really get into whether he was racist or not because I don't know the guy. I went to has he displayed racism? That's what I focused on because I want to put up what you've seen that you would say is his display of racism. People can have different isms in their heart that they may or may not choose to allow others to see. So who knows what's going on with that? But when this situation right here, when he's talking about him being a bad guy, that's going to be a matter of opinion. I mean, those of us who love hip hop, I mean, the vile stuff that the people we love to listen to say. I mean, to a lot of communities, to the Amish community, it'd be like, how could you even support somebody like that? If the Amish community heard some of the stuff that we listen to and saw the adoration for those kind of people, they would be surprised. They wouldn't know what to do with that.
I don't think they'd be surprised. They think we all wicked anyway. That's why they keep it themselves.
They're probably right.
But like I knew they was out there doing that wild. That's why we be here. See,
that's why
don't go out there.
So yeah. So I think you're right. So that's the thing. I mean, I think a lot of that is, him calling. He's not really a good guy. I mean, come on, we're talking about Aries Spears now. I mean,
who has definitively racist, if that's what you want to say. If you say racist things, 30 plus years of it, you could string together a bunch of clips of Aries Spears talking crazy about white people, but contextually, he's gonna be able to say, "Well, I'm just joking. It's jokes. It's comedy." Hey, man.
So let me ask y'all this: if we would have put everything that Charlie Kirk said about black people and everything Aries Spears said about white people side by side, who do you think's worse? What you got, You on mute? I think
Aries is right here.
Oh yeah.
This is where Aries is at. This is where
I can barely make out what you're saying.
I'm
You
black,
said that
go out and come back in.
I think you probably got a little lag. Fresh, what about you? What you got?
I still say Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk?
I am contextualizing. Are you saying without context?
I'm a big Aries Spears fan.
Yeah, me too. So if we're going context, that's why I'm putting Charlie Kirk up there as worse. But if we're taking away the contextualization of it, then obviously just on sheer volume, Aries Spears is worse.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I think the contextual part is going to be interesting part because if not every culture has comedy, right? And if you just put Aries Spears in front of them, they don't know he's a comedian. They're just hearing him talk. I think they'll be
but it depends on how you clip it up because he typically has punchlines and stuff, and whether or not you have comedy in your culture, and I think every culture does have some form of comedy. It just may not be common. It's not, we don't all get it. But I think contextually, if it's a culture that has a basic level of education, they'll be able to understand that he's not being serious.
I mean,
There's some facetiousness, but
yeah,
there is also, a little bit of truth in every joke. So there's that.
Yeah, and the truth, a lot of times, Charlie Kirk, when he's making the comments about black people,
he's saying them facetiously.
He's laughing. Like, I mean, even the one we played on the show, he's talking about the black woman in affirmative action. He's laughing. He was like, she can't even get the words right. She says action affirmative instead of affirmative action. He's being tongue in cheek and he's laughing as well. But
he's been derisive. So let's 100%. He's being derisive, but he's still. I understand what you're saying.
But I'm just trying to really understand like what makes the comedy aspect really I'm trying to really understand what makes it different. Is the guy not believing it makes it different, or is it because he's saying it in the humor? Because you could be offensive humorist.
Well, no, there's so many black people that don't even believe that black people can be racist that you got to overcome that level of ignorance before you can even get into this conversation. Black people can't be racist. You need power to be racist. I don't think you do. You need power to discriminate. You don't need power to be racist.
And even with the power thing, I'm thinking in my head, like, you need what power to discriminate? Because, like, if I'm a parent, if I'm a Hispanic parent, I can keep my kids from dealing with black kids. Now, is that?
And they do, and they have.
Yeah, they do, and they have.
Don't play with that, Don't play with that little black boy.
So the thing is,
Devon can't come over here. He's got to stay outside.
Yeah. There's degrees to power. That's why I think people, you got to have institutional power. You don't have the institutional power to impose your will on people because of in a negative way because of race.
Because of your
I'm not picking you up on the court. I'm not picking you up on the basketball court.
Yeah, because you're predetermined. Yeah. If that was the case, then Don Imus calling them nappy-headed hoes on his show technically isn't racist. Don Imus has no shake on those girls' status on that team, their basketball record. Nothing. He has no impact on it. He just said what he said. But they still called him racist. And to be honest with you, I agree.
Him being a rich, influential white male saying that about them affects the ethnic image of those women and the women and black women in general. So I mean, that I think they probably would make a case like that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they didn't have a point, but I'm saying in terms of power, the type of a lot of black people will say you have to have power. Don Imus didn't have any real power. If that's the measure for whether you're a racist or not, he doesn't have any real power over those women. Just influential power over his audience, who, if we're being honest, was probably already leaning that way anyway.
That's fact. So, want to keep it going, sir?
Yeah. I just want to say before I logged off, I was saying about the difference between Charlie Kirk and Aries.
We already passed that.
Yeah, I just want to say this. Look, Aries been doing race jokes for longer than
30 years.
Charlie Kirk was 31. I don't know if y'all made that point.
Yeah, I'm about to say damn near longer than you've been alive.
Being alive, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said Aries is up here and Charlie Kirk is here, because Aries been telling them jokes longer than
he makes fun of how white guys engage in intimacy. I'll be like the white, he goes
observational humor. Exactly. Let me add this aspect. Go ahead, Jane. Logan, finish it up. I got an additional wrinkle I want to add to it.
Go ahead.
If we're talking context, right? Even if you're looking at Aries Spears in a humorous context, you have to consider his experiences with who he's observing and who he's making fun of in terms of how he shapes his comedy, right? His experience with white people in his life and what he's observed helps shape his comedy. If he can get away with it because of what he's seen and observed and experienced, then theoretically, based on Charlie Kirk's experience or his observations of the community, regardless of how off base they are or how small they are, we have to consider that it's helped shape his opinion on the race as a whole. And I think really everybody shapes their opinion based on those factors. If they're not being objective, like if you're being objective, obviously you can pull back and get the 30,000 feet in the air view and really take things from a different perspective. But most people are basing some of this off of their personal experience and their personal observation. And they're not considering a lot of the other factors that go into whether someone is or isn't racist or, so forth and so on, which is, again, intellectually lazy and honest, to go back to your earlier comment, Vulcan.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas at the Bear says, shout out to the white woman who was trying to ban hip hop because of how it affects the children. They were white. I mean, right. Yeah.
Well, those kids also let their children listen to Ozzy, so I don't really care what they say about the genre.
But the ones that was, I seen the old video where Shabazz, I forgot the lady. If y'all remember when we was younger, the ladies that was stomping on Death Row Records, Snoop Dogg CDs. I forgot the lady. Tupac shouted out on That's Why They Call You a B. I forgot her name. But,
Dolores Tucker.
Dolores Tucker. I figured you would know, Vulcan. Yeah, I seen some old conferences she had. They was really serious about banning that hip hop music. And, I remember when I was young, I used to be upset when oh man, this is cool music. This is music for the youth. Now that I got old, I'm like, they was on to something, man. They was on to something, man. But she was ostracized in our community, man. Shout out to Dolores Tucker.
How far we want to go in this video? We gonna listen to the whole video, or what we gonna do?
Well, yeah, we can listen a little bit more, and then we can go into. Let's just until the guy give his commentary, and then we can stop.
All right, bet.
This is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many appeals. It should be public. It should be quick. It should be televised. By the way, I would totally tune into.
Ari Spears went in immediately, calling Kirk's spirit not in the right place, which is the podcast version. His point was simple.
The only thing I'm cutting this clip short is because I like the caption. All his.
All right, we can go ahead.
Let's
go to the next.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if you're gonna let it play, you gotta let it play.
Yeah. He finally started talking again.
Rewind. All right, here we go.
Milk has chunks. Andy Steinberg, ever the counterbalance, dared to play devil's advocate.
I don't know why you play this part.
And you know what? I want to watch that execution.
Now, the only thing I'm cutting this clip short is because I like the caption. All his wishes came true. He goes, I think an execution should be public, it should be quick, and it should be televised. If this ain't irony, I don't know what is. Yours was quick, televised, and what was the other thing he said? It should be quick, televised,
public,
and whatever the third thing he said is.
No.
Yeah, he fit all three of those.
Except he wasn't convicted of a crime. He wasn't executed. He was assassinated.
But somebody basically said, pick whatever saying you want. You reap what you sow. Chickens coming home to roost. You die on that hill. He put so much out to the universe in terms of what people were saying was negativity.
Hey, pause it real quick.
The word evil.
What's up?
That put it all to the thing. That's lazy. Yeah, that's him grasping for straws. He's grasping at air because he has no other way. Once they say, well, he wasn't convicted of a crime, he takes a beat because he has nowhere to go now. So he has to go into the ether. Yeah, he had but that's again. You'll notice when people don't have really a leg to stand on, once they get to the end of their logic rope, they have to just jump out into the theoretical. Like, oh, well, you put so much into the universe. It's not a real thing.
Yeah, Yeah.
No matter what you want to believe, it doesn't have any, because the thing is not measurable, right? If that was the case, then anybody who put something negative out into the universe would reap what they sow, quote unquote. But then we wouldn't be talking about the lack of justice. So it's not a measurable outcome, which is why it's not substantial.
And let me just say this point about putting stuff out in the universe that people aren't taking in consideration. You are technically a part of the universe yourself. So are you putting the universe out into the universe? Doesn't make any sense. If you are part of the universe. You have everything on the table, the table of elements. That's your body's made of.
Also, it doesn't work the same. You don't hear people refer to it the same when they're talking about good deeds. If that was the case, I'll just put that I'm a millionaire in the universe, and it should theoretically happen.
They say that.
Well, I hear they say it, but again, where's the proof?
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the proof of concept? If Charlie Kirk put negative out in the universe, and because of that, what happened to him happened, then theoretically, I should be able to do it the opposite way and have similar results. Test the falsifiability, right? There's got to be, the experiment has to have measurable results for it to be considered valid.
Yeah.
Scientifically.
Did it just seem like?
See, I have a completely different take.
That was an anticlimactic end.
I think that
it was because he petered out.
Yeah,
he lost steam. He came to the end of that road like it just seems. People start saying just seems or I feel like or that type of stuff. Like especially people who start out with logic, like this is if so facto, and then you end with it just seems okay, cool.
Yeah,
we see you out of smoke.
It reminds me of like a baby. The baby's crying, all that stuff out there. You start patting on the back and start falling asleep. Like, it petered out right there. Look at that.
You didn't even want nothing. You were just fussing.
All that fuss. He was tired.
He put so much out to the universe in terms of what people were saying was negativity. And some might use the word evil. And it just seemed like, how ironic.
See,
here's the thing. If Ari Spears if we're talking putting stuff out into the universe, negativity, Ari Spears got far more. How come Ari Spears ain't been shot in the neck yet?
Yep.
And if you're not going to say, well, Ari Spears he's a comedian, right? So now we're adding context. And if you're going to add context on one side, experimentally, scientifically, you got to add context on the other side.
I mean, I don't know anybody that trashes these new age rappers more than Ari Spears. On every platform he gets a chance to do. And I agree with a lot of what he says. Don't get me wrong.
I don't even know if he met Jay-Z before.
but he trashes all the new rappers and just the absolute garbage. He'll mention rappers specifically. I'm like, you never heard that dude. You don't even know what they got music sound like. You just saying they trash because what bracket they're in as far as a generation of rapper. But yeah, we got it.
See, I have a completely different take. I think that today, if you could talk to Charlie Kirk, he still stands by his gun control argument, his gun argument, the Second Amendment.
He would be race baiting this, or
he
would be stoking the fires right now.
Well, I don't want to misquote him, but he said something to the fact of gun violence should happen. God, what did he say?
It's going to happen.
He said a certain level of gun violence is acceptable to maintain the Second Amendment. So some of this stuff needs to happen, or it's okay for it to happen in order to maintain the Second Amendment. I don't know if he backs down from that, even, if we could speak to his spirit or, his ghost, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if he backs down from that. I think it is ironic, though. It definitely is ironic.
Something about there should be gun deaths so many times.
Sometimes there has to be gun
collateral
deaths
damage
because to codify the Second Amendment, basically.
Okay, so there was a cartoon where he's standing in heaven and there's a bunch of little kids in front of him with red dots, meaning bullet holes.
Was it worth it, Charlie?
Back to him as he stands in front of them with a bullet hole, red dot on his neck.
Then came the gun control irony. The elephant in the room that brought its own shotgun. Kirk had long insisted gun deaths were an inevitable price for freedom, and that sometimes there has to be gun death. Unfortunately, his own assassination by rifle seemed to audition as Exhibit A. Aries noted the cruel symmetry. It was a debate so
that he believes in that. I think he believes in it because we can say this. And listen, I don't know where I stand on gun control. I really don't. I would like to be more educated before I say anything, because it is different. The gun that he was killed with wouldn't have been in any gun control laws. It was a long gun. It was a hunting rifle. It can be used for hunting. Does
it make a difference if a scope is on it or not?
Y'all got any more on this topic?
Nah, let's not get into gun control laws. Y'all gonna set me off.
Let's talk about it. Let's get to the next video.
That's trying to get the Vulcan soapbox canceled in this joint.
Can you introduce? Hey, is Vulcan still muted?
I just want to say, real quick on the Aries Spears last piece. All I was going to say about that is he started off with the most resolute conviction you can imagine. By the end of it, it seems and kindas, and then it just it petered out into just him moving to the next thing. Whenever they gave him the context on the gun violence comment and put what he said in the actual context, Aries just jumps to something else, to the kid situation, which is still on the gun thing to some extent, but he abandoned the wording part, which he initially had brought up.
That is the power of logic and reason. When you add it to certain situations and remove emotion, it really takes the steam out of a lot of folks' arguments.
Perfect example.
Smoked his boots. And the funny thing is, they didn't even really challenge him much. They just threw a few things in there that made sense, and he had nothing, which means he didn't have a lot to begin with.
All right, to transition to the next video. Tonight's conversation, popular show that's on our social medias. Topic: a man's ability to lead is based on his ability to submit. Let's get right into it. If y'all could hear it.
Is based on a man's leadership. Next question. If a woman's submission is based on a man's leadership, then what is his ability to lead based on? Trip?
His ability to submit. I think we've already established that tone in this conversation. I think in order to be an effective leader, you need to know when to move out the way.
That's good.
Because
that's good.
And it's not to refute what anybody else is saying, but I don't think it's always the man who has the vision in a relationship, and I don't think it's always him that's supposed to. If let's say my lady is a lawyer, she pulling in 150 a year. The vision is clear. We're gonna need a few more years of what you got going on before we start talking about who I'm supposed to be and what I got going on. And if I need to lead by moving out of her way so she can accomplish some things to better us, then I need to be strong enough to do that. I think a man's leadership, the way we often define it at a societal level, needs to come from him being able to go within himself and move his ego to the side, because a lot of men lead from an egotistical place where it's about what I want, not about what we need.
That's right.
Oh, I like
the mission.
And so it's again, it's not to get fake deep about it, but a lot of men do want control, because that's what we taught of submission. That's what it's about power. Right. And we taught an unhealthy definition of power. So we taught to lord over.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact he said, a lot of men, or I can't remember exactly how he said it now, but I don't know if it's the case that men just are always leading in ego or usually leading in ego. I think men generally lead the right way. I mean, even Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who comes on this show all the time, she said whenever she was talking, I think it was Cam or Nick Cannon, she was like, when she does doing her therapy sessions, most of the men were great leaders and were doing a great job in the relationship. It was the women that was causing the problems. So that's her.
She said, I think she said when she was compared to low function, high function. I know she said that in her therapy session, 70 to 80% of women are jacked up, and the men it's low 20s and 30s.
Yeah. So my thing is these guys do this pandering towards the women. Not say there isn't an issue with men being in their ego and having that be some type of impediment to the relationships, health. in progress. But I think that's more of the exception than the norm. But the larger point I want to bring up about what he's saying when he's talking about the man needs to get out of the way. Why is the man in the way? In the first, get out the way presumes that you're in the way. I think we lose a lot of these, catastrophic language, this hyperbolic language. When he talks about getting out of the way, what in the way of what? Somebody's making money, or a lady has an idea. Most men are open to hearing the ideas of what the woman has to say. That's why they chose him as their wife. That's his most trusted advisor. So I think to me a lot of that stuff just boils down to me is just pandering, because
you think most men are marrying women because they believe it's their most trusted advisor?
No, I don't think that most men are marrying the woman because it's most trusted advisor. I mean, that is his most trusted advisor, especially over time. Most men, from the studies I've seen, most men don't even have friends by the time they're in their 60s and 70s. They don't have nobody else but her.
That's late.
Men's friendship as they got older, and the women's tend to multiply or stay the same. So, a lot of men just end up with because we already know men's testosterones tend to lower when they have families, so they can bond and, all that kind of stuff. So it's already, the man's becoming more feminine as he's beginning with his family already anyway. And so when he's talking about, the men leading with ego, I just don't see that really being the case. And he talks about the vision, the different types of visions. There's different visions in a relationship. So, but what do we mean by vision? A vision just being able to see the future, having a goal and being able to see how the goal is going to work. So I think we use a lot of these words that we give a special significance to. They're almost like religious words, vision, but the thing is, what do we really mean by that? She has an idea of the future. She has a goal. What do y'all take it from a vision? What do y'all take it from the word vision? I don't mean like what it says in a dictionary, but when he's using vision in this context, how are y'all taking that?
I think contextually, culturally, when they say vision, they mean not only the idea, the goal, but also the direction, the plan. I think the way they're referring to vision has to do with the plan. I'm gonna be honest with you. With that definition, I think it's inaccurate. Because just her making more money doesn't mean she has a good plan on where the family should be going.
Yeah.
If anything, the money is just an asset.
She got a vision for the household. She got a vision for the household, a vision for the relationship with her mom and her parents, a vision for, the siblings being closer to her husband and stuff like that. Those are all visions that she can have. I'm assuming there's going to be multiple visions. Is that, y'all taking her to like one main vision? Like, what are we saying? What is he saying?
Well, go ahead.
I'm still pondering on that. So as far as what he's saying,
I think he's, again, and I'm not really commenting necessarily on what he's saying. I'm commenting on what he's referring to culturally when we say vision. Like, what's the vision? What's the plan? What's the goal? Right? We want, and really, it does encompass the entire life, right? So if I'm saying, well, what's your vision for us as a family? Okay, cool. I want to get married. We want to buy a house. We want to have 2 kids. In 10 years, I want to own property. Like, that's the vision. All that stuff starts with, okay, you have a plan, right? That's in terms of leadership. That's what a lot of women say that they want. Like, I want to know where you're going. What is your idea? Whether or not at the end of it, you actually end up there. I want to know that you have a plan, a path plotted out. Here's what I want to do. Which again, based on what he was saying, I don't think the woman being the main breadwinner or making the most money gives her the agency to have the vision, right? The money is an asset. If I'm leading right as a man, I say, listen, this is what we're doing with the money that you make, right? For our family. Now, obviously, what I take him to mean is get out of the way is do not impede her, which if I'm just talking to different people, where I'm only going off my personal conversations, a lot of men have an issue, a vocalized issue with a woman making more money than them, because it does make them feel less than a man. But I would even go further into that and say, I think it's a lot less how they actually feel just by themselves, and more how they feel about what a woman making more money, how it makes her act in the relationship. She makes more money. She typically, women, when they make more money, they are less submissive in action. Maybe not in mentality, but just in action. Like I'm not going for certain things because I don't need you, right? Which I think is the wrong way to submit anyways. If you're submitting purely because you need that person's, protection or oversight in terms of monetary, like if I don't submit, you're going to kick me out the house. I think obviously that foundation is built on saying any damn way.
Yeah, I think that one of the topics that I discussed on a live not too long ago was this same topic, and I was talking about one ladies were saying, why are men intimidated by what? Why are men intimidated by women who have their stuff together? She mentioned she was in the military. She retired from the military, so that was already. When people found out what she did in the military, they would be intimidated. Then when they found out how independent she was and how she had some going for herself, that they would be more intimidated. And I was like, well, let's just move intimidated to the side and just put apprehensive, because the studies show, statistically speaking, the more educated she is, the more well-to-do she is, the higher chance she has of divorcing you. That's just the numbers. You can chat right now. Type, is there a correlation between a woman out earning her husband and the divorce rate? It's going to say absolutely it is. So any man who's
we hear it on the internet all the time, right? A lot of times women respect men, or women's respect for men in a relationship, or even before they get into the relationship, right, is contingent upon their earning ability, their earning power.
And what
if he don't make a certain amount of money, blah blah blah, he can't get no time with me. If he don't make a certain amount of money, he's not leading, right? So when we talk about the correlation between money and the power dynamic in a relationship, if a woman typically makes more money in a relationship, the correlation typically means, right, just by the math, that her level of respect comes down. The more money she makes, the less respect she has for her man. Now that's not obviously it's not across the board. Just to,
well, I mean, that's because too, when women make more money, they want a guy that makes more money than them.
Yeah, they said about 50% more statistically. With the studies that I've seen, so they want a man who makes. So she makes 100,000. She goes out and makes 150.
And that makes sense.
Correct.
So that's how I was hearing it when I was hearing this guy speaking. He was correlating the woman making more money. He was correlating that, hey, she's the leader. It's based off finances. Who has the most money? She got the direction she's going financially, financial goals. That's how I was interpreted. Hey, get out the way. She's already on that path of getting a certain type of bag. Hey, you gotta not impede on her. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but what does the impede mean? Like, I want you to stop working. I want you to get a job making less money. That, to me, that's an impediment. How else would he be impeding her money making ability outside of trying to actually stop her ability to make that amount of money?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this stuff gets a little bit more complex because, and that's why as we've gotten less and less religious as a society, I think the lines are more blurred because women do outperform men in some very quantifiable ways. But there was a time where men were meant to be the religious leaders, the priests in their home. They were the ones supposed to uphold the character of the family and be to balance out her femininity and her more abstract fluidity with
most
things
of
that
it
are
highly valuable, like it was
available. Saying we're not gonna worship false gods, and I mean that sounds very archaic way of saying it, but that means astrology is not a real science. It means that we're not going to manifest. We're not into this manifestation. We're not teaching our kids manifestation. It means we're going to teach our kids a certain set of values because these things perform better in the real world.
Manifest some hard work, nigga.
Yeah. And so a lot of things that women tend to embrace and accept in the political arena, in the social, in society with marketing and them being more easy to beguile when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. That's where the man came into play. Women who are married spend less money than women who are single. You know, part of that because they're having to collaborate with somebody else who's a little bit more disagreeable typically. And that's not the case in every relationship. But my point is,
and dynamically has the right to be disagreeable.
Yeah.
So that they're not a child or dependent in that situation. They're another equal or higher stakeholder in that dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for the audience, what I mean by disagreeable is that the studies show that men just in general are more disagreeable than women are. So that's why when, you know, you see on the news, they might have a special about how women are being taken advantage of in the mechanic shop. Because the mechanic saying it's going to be this price and ladies are less likely to get pushback, where men generally are going to be like, that's too much. They're going to want to negotiate. They're going to want to compromise. That applies when it comes to getting promotions, when it comes to getting higher, negotiating more pay at the job. It includes all those different kind of things. So men generally tend to be that way. Not to say that all men are like that, and there are some women who are just more disagreeable than the average man. But
even then, they typically in those arenas say that they're acting like a man. When those women who are more disagreeable in those particular career fields and stuff like that,
yeah,
even the women, like, they recognize like this is a characteristic I have to take on to compete in this market, in this arena.
Yeah.
So they're taking on masculine tendencies to be able to compete in a male-dominated industry for the most part. Obviously, there's outliers where, that's not the case, but I would say a good 90% of the time that is the case.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do this. So even some of the more laudable characteristics that you would find in a highly successful woman are just her mimicking the highly successful men that she's tussling with. I mean, it is still laudable. So I'm not taking anything away from her. Just saying it's not natural.
All right, let's get back to it.
So if you don't got yourself in check and you don't have so if you don't got yourself in check and you don't have discipline within your own life to where you can submit to your calling as opposed to following your wants and your desires, then you're not really equipped to lead to the point where you fluid enough to know when to fall back.
I love that because I think a good leader knows when to default to somebody else. I mean, a good leader knows how to delegate. Like, if I'm not good at this, I'm not just going to blindly lead because I'm a man.
Agreed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know that your strengths, like Kitty, your strengths is this. So I'm going to let you lead here because I know that you're strong here. And I'm going to let you lead. I think it should be more about less about genders. Oh, I'm a man, you a woman. This is what you should do because you a man. This is what you should do. You should a woman. Right. It's about people. It's about, because we're all androgynous. We all have certain characteristics back and forth. So it's like, I think that's really great, Trick, what you were saying, because I think we get so caught up in that.
So that's my issue. And people have a good point. They start off strong and they start to get a little weak towards it. Now it's androgynous. She started off by saying that, what the men can delegate, right? So that there's a clear leader. The leader is the one
exactly.
Leading.
And even when you delegate, you're not delegating. That doesn't make you the leader. You've just been assigned something.
You've been assigned
by a leader.
And so she started off good, because I think that distinction to be made. People think that, if you're better at this, you lead in that area. If you're better at this, no. The leader stays leader. He delegates things based off who's good at what. Steve Jobs is the leader, but Steve Jobs wasn't sitting there with his little screwdriver and the little screw, putting those iPads together.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos said, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
But ain't nobody making those decisions at Amazon without Jeff Bezos say so, right? But
he's never in the room by himself.
Exactly. As a leader, Jeff Bezos is taking good counsel, right? Hey, if you're better at this, here's your expertise. I'm going to take that into consideration when I'm making the decision for the company moving forward, right? For the organization, the entity. So as a man, hey, you might have a strength in this, my wife might have a strength in this place. I'm going to take her opinion or her expertise into consideration when I'm making the decision for us as a family moving forward. But that doesn't mean like, okay, this, you lead us. That's not how that goes.
Just take over from here.
Yeah.
You see that with the president. He has a council. He has advisors, but he comes back, and once he get the best advice or counsel what direction he need to go, he leads. That's
So
just
Well, the beauty of it is it's not even the best. It's just what he chooses. That I want to make that
chooses
because being a leader and being the leader does it. And here's the thing. This is another thing. Being the leader, the actual leader, comes with accountability. So it's not always the leader taking the best advice, right? But he or she, I'm just putting it like that, is taking the accountability for the direction of the ship. So if we crash into an iceberg, right? Even if I took, if I considered or I went with someone else's expertise, I'm still liable. I'm still accountable because I made the final decision, right?
Go down with the ship.
And that's the thing. A lot of women, when they say this, are not willing. And I'm gonna say a lot of people. I'm gonna just keep it stacked. A lot of people misinterpret leadership that way, and when things go wrong, are not willing to take the accountability or be liable for their leadership. Right? Yeah, you told me to do this. I didn't make you do that. You took my counsel, and that's the direction you decided to go. So as the captain goes, so goes the ship. There's a bunch of, a captain is not typically, well, no, he has a crew. He's not running the ship by himself. He's not doing everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but ain't nobody talking about the dude in the steam room crashing the ship. You talking to the captain. What happened, bro?
Yeah. So I'll just the last piece I'll say about what she's saying is that she, where she gets to the point where she's like, we're androgynous and it's not gender. If she means it's not gender as far as like who's operating in what role, who's being delegated to do what, that can be, any gender can be delegated a certain task if that's their skill set. But the gender part does matter for most people in America and definitely around the world. More specifically, the man's in the leadership position. It doesn't mean that he's the most talented, doesn't mean he's the most skilled. It's his role to lead the ship. It's his role to delegate what needs to be delegated. And that's not androgynous.
Yeah, by societal standards, he's just the most liable if we're talking about what the man is the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when you see go ahead, my fault.
No, that's Hefty Bear said. That's why the captain went down with the ship. I still wrote it, even though Vulcan said it. Most women not going down with the ship. They are definitely getting off them lifeboats. Shout out Hefty Bear.
Reflected in the metrics, right? The more money a woman makes, right? She like, listen, this ain't even my ship. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off this and get on my own ship. I got my own. I can run my own boat. I'm gonna let him go down by himself. That's not those are not leadership qualities.
Yep.
Those that's not leadership level loyalty. Now, on the other foot, I'll play the devil's advocate here. There's a lot of men out here creating children. A good amount of men out here creating children, getting off that boat. But I also don't think a lot of those men should be considered, whatever we would consider like a good man or a good leader. And obviously depending on contextual context. And I'm not saying leaving like not in the house. I'm talking about leaving that position. But even then, you can look at the whys behind the divorce or the separation between the parents and but as far as the role is being played, there's a lot of dudes who abandon the role. So contextually, that's what I mean when I say that.
Man, this is a long paragraph. You want to read this first? Go ahead and do the honors.
Christopher Nichols said, "I'm sorry, but that's not truly correct. The man does have vision. It is how the vision is implemented and followed. A man should know when he should really consider whatever advice is given. But at the end of the day, the final decision is his, comma. What they're saying as the leader is a misnomer. Though she may be better in that subject, she still defers to who is covering. She is not the covering, and no time should she usurp the authority of who he is. Just because she's a better accountant doesn't mean she runs the house and is the ultimate authority. No, it means that under his leadership, she does the books, but no penny to leave will be distributed around the house without his knowledge.
That's what.
Yeah, I just want to say moving forward, we should probably read the comment first to ourselves just to make sure it's even relevant for us to talk about. You know, I don't know if you,
especially because he echoes something that we already kind of covered pretty extensively. But I agree to, you know, conceptually what he's saying is, you know, just because there's a person within the relationship that has a skill set doesn't make them the default leader of the household. And to be honest with you, I know people who don't have knowledge of how the money is being spent. They're just a pocket, but the accountability is still on them. They get kicked out of the house because the mortgage is not paid. Only he's looking at the wife as the accountant, right? Society's looking at him. That's your household, bro. Why we're asking him? Why didn't you have a stronger hand on that? Why did you have more knowledge? No one's looking at the wife as like the liable person, and that's where the quote unquote leadership mantle, typically for at least in American society, but to Vulcan's point, worldwide, is placed upon the male, the man. And so there's a lot of stuff that happens regardless of who actually, you know, did it. That liability is laid at the feet of the man of the household. Kids acting up in school, it ain't enough discipline in there. You know, if single mom, well, because you're not a man in the household, right? Stuff like that. Like, he's not even in the household. Why are we blaming that on him? Because there's a specific role that a man does play in a relationship, and it is, if you know, as a Christian nation, you know, we follow Judeo-Christian principles. The man is the de facto leader of the household. He's the head of household. He's liable. He's responsible to God.
we can move on. You know, unless you had a comment, you know.
Yeah, I'm reading some of them. Some of these comments are saying the same things we already said. So
okay, we can move on.
Then skip them. You know, we can hand out virtual high fives and handshakes to those people.
You said high fives.
So virtual handshakes and high fives. Good job. Well said. We agree on the same page.
Yeah, basically. Okay, well, I'm trying to make sure this lady.
I got an aunt named Sharon Alexander.
Hey. Yeah, we can go to the. Oh, okay. Listen to this. Okay.
You reviewing them? You reviewing them on this screen?
Yeah. Look up. Take it.
I think Vulcan was saying review them before we put them on the screen.
Fact. All right, let's get to. I don't know. We see this. This is. I can see it out on the screen. All right, so you know we talk about relationship. Let's go ahead and transition to the next video. This gentleman here is talking about, you know, using logic.
Be good. I'm pretty sure the comments on this will be good.
Think so? Okay, yeah. Yeah, what's the title? Okay, yeah. If the title is Men's Logic Facing Women's Emotion. Steven speaks. Let's get into it.
Men tend to forget that women typically are emotionally wired or more emotionally wired. Yeah. And so what happens is when she comes to you and expresses a concern, if that concern does not line up in your head logically, men tend to dismiss it. Okay. And they don't consider how she's feeling. And I want men to understand, you have to learn that we have to accept men and women are different. We are just built differently, and in understanding our differences, we can create more harmony with each other. When that woman says to you, this is how I feel, it's not about your logic at that point, bro. It's about how she feels. All right. And you got to tap into that in that moment. And if you say, well, how do I know she's not lying? Listen, if she's a good woman otherwise, then there's no reason to assume it's a lie right now. All right. If you know she has not been a for you, then don't project that negativity on her. Just take her as her expression at that moment. Men.
Yo.
He started off so good.
Yeah, but I'm gonna just start off before y'all get into it, because I know y'all got some good things to say about this. Look, I don't think that men, I don't think men don't listen to women's feelings. I think the problem is when women base their feelings, make judgments off their feelings. I think that's the problem when it's conflicted with men. So if a woman want to make a critical decision with her basing off her feelings, I disagree with him. The man interjecting logic is not negativity. He said, "Don't project that negativity." How's logic negative? You know, logic is the solution. That is the framework we go off of. That give us stability. But him saying that, I think most men do hear. I know even for myself, we hear. I think the problem, like I said earlier, is when women base their decisions and critical decisions off their feelings, man. To them, it just sounds like he's pandering. I'm just go ahead and say it, man. That's my thought.
So I would like to offer some slight pushback, not on the fact that he's pandering. I definitely think he pandered toward the end.
For sure.
To clarify what he's saying, which differs slightly from what you're saying, is what he's saying is women are going to, right, because they're biologically built different, are going to be emotional beings. He's speaking to the dismissiveness that a lot of men, and I was speaking from a personal perspective, that was an issue that I had in my relationship early on. Not that I don't, he's not saying that you shouldn't, well, actually, towards the end, he did kind of drop off a cliff where he was like, well, in that moment, it's not about your logic, it's about her emotions. I don't agree with that. What I do agree with is that her emotions, because they don't make sense to you or they don't line up with logic, should be dismissed. I think for me, the dismissiveness is the problem. Yes, I acknowledge, right, that, the emotion, it doesn't make sense often, right? It doesn't line up. But as a leader, I'm willing to, acknowledge the emotion and walk it through with my partner. Say, hey, here's why this doesn't align. Here's why we're, as a family, right? This unit, here's why we're not going with that. But to just dismiss it out of hand because it's emotional, that's where my agreement with his statement stops. Everything after that, I don't agree with, because I don't think it's about the emotion. I think it should be acknowledged if that's a person that you value in your relationship.
What is it? Is it an appropriate time to be dismissive? Is it an appropriate time to be dismissive to one's feelings?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not dismissive, not to dismiss it out of hand. I don't think there is an appropriate time when we're talking about a partner, right? Obviously, a partner, a wife, a husband, and I'm not killing it to gender. I'm just saying, if a man or a woman that you value, Well, so even if a man, I don't agree that you should dismiss any emotion out of hand. In action, even if you do it in your head. To be honest with you, I often do it when I'm talking to just people in general.
Why you don't think
I identify it as because if I'm in a partnership with this person, then this person is integral to my final endeavors. If I'm a goal oriented person, if me as a leader, right, if my goal is to get our ship to its final destination, then unless I'm going to run the ship by myself, I'm going to need my partners. I'm going to need the crew. And if I recognize that they're emotional, right? But if their emotion, having that acknowledged and having it explained and having, walking it through, if that's going to allow them to perform better for the team, for the entity, the organization, the ship, then it is worth it to me as a leader, because my goal overall is to get to where we're going.
Well, I
to acknowledge those, to do that, right? So
that makes sense, Fresh. If it's something that's going to benefit the overall goal, that makes sense. But
what I'm saying is, because the woman is emotional, right? To her, and that's what he's saying. To her, the emotions are valid, whether they actually are valid or not, or whether they're valid to you as a man. It doesn't serve the mission. Is to keep with the acronym, the analogy. It doesn't serve the mission if she feels that she's being dismissed, that her emotions and how she feels about it are not valid, right? Because now you're losing a crew member. You're hurting the overall mission. So the validity of it goes as far as like, hey, what now? There's a in my opinion, there's a limit, right? I'm not making decisions for us based on the emotion, but that's the leadership, right, aspect of it. Hey, let's talk about that. And this goes out of relationships as well. Like in the industry that I work in, right, in leadership, when you are a people leader, a people manager, whether you want to or not, and this is this is not just women in those positions. You have to manage those people's feelings and emotions. How they feel impacts how they perform, and that's just the reality of the situation. So if you need, hey, I need these numbers, and if you came in and you're not feeling, like you're being acknowledged, and you start to perform less, you're hurting me, right?
Well,
so go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the way, because I was gonna tell you what I think. First, before I get to my explanation, will we both can we agree with? All right, because I want to ask you this question, but as far as how you define being dismissive, but I think I have a good idea.
Well, dismissive is deeming something unworthy of
for sure.
like
Okay, so that's
consideration.
good. So we're on the same page as that. So we got that.
It's not even worth considering. Is dismissive.
And that's what I'm saying. Now I'm with you. I'm with you as far as when somebody has a gripe, has a complaint. I think it's considered it's appropriate to hear it out. To hear it out. But see, this is where I take a different approach. Hear it out, evaluate it. Then once I evaluate it, I think that's the time that's appropriate for a leader to choose if we could dismiss this or not.
So I agree with you 100%.
I think you should hear them out, though. I don't think you should come out the gate dismissing them because it's coming from an emotional place. I don't agree and think that's wise to do that.
No, I agree, and that was my point. His initial statement was, you and I are on the same page 100% based on how you defined it. His initial statement was that it's not good to dismiss it out of hand. I do agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
I promise you, I'm not making any decisions for the family or for the enterprise based solely on emotion. I'm just taking into consideration. To be honest with you, if it's less than a degree turn to the west and it's not going to impact the overall thing, then for the mission it might be okay to do. So sometimes after I consider, right, for the overall health of the crew, I might turn it 1 degree to the west. It's not going to affect where we end up at, and it's going to make the crew feel better. It's going to make them feel like they have agency in the ship's direction, and everyone's happy. And that's, as a leader, I'm managing all of that stuff.
For sure.
So definitely.
I was laughing to myself because I know me and you talk behind the scenes, and I remember you was telling me about the difference between a boss and a leader. And after I spoke to you about actually seeing the meme, that's what I was thinking about. It is a difference of a leader considering all parties and parts and hearing things out instead of boss just dictate, do this and that and that. And that could ruffle some feathers. You got any 100%. You got any thoughts, Vulcan?
So yeah,
of course he does.
Yeah, to go over some of the things that he mentioned when it says provide. Oh yeah, one of my issues with just generic advice like this is it's untethered to the situation. So our mind can go wild with what he means and what the context can be. And so like I mentioned before, one of my mentors told me it's not what you teach is what they retain.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff just comes across as pandering because but it may not be. That could be a genuine thought. And I'm sure that what he's saying has its place. I'm sure men do every bit of what he's saying at different points in time, in which case they need to be corrected and given some direction. So I wish it was more situational because then we can really see it on the pragmatic side. He mentioned women are biologically different, but that goes both ways. So women are likely to emote a certain way, and men are likely to approach problems a certain way. And we'll see in the comments, but I know you typically see women lament in the fact that men approach it a certain way, but just the same grace that we give women. Are we going to the comments already?
No, I'm just saying it up. You go ahead.
Okay.
I'm not the screen.
So yeah. So just in the way that we want the men to give women grace because they're biologically different in how they tackle problems and how they respond to different problems. You got to understand the man is wired a certain way too. I mean, they did a study with babies where they showed the male babies.
Is there anything I could have done to save our
This
relationship?
man.
I think you're a great person.
Everyone needs to hear this before it's too late.
I think you're a good person, and I appreciate the fact that.
All right.
Hey, that's a real momentum killer. That man was rolling.
Yeah. So with the female and the male babies, they did studies where they put obstacles in front of the males and female babies, and they had the moms call out to them. And when the girl babies were confronted with different obstacles in their way, they would just cry. The boys would try to knock the obstacle over, climb over the obstacle. They were trying to they're trying to problem solve the situation. That's how boys are wired. So women need to have the same amount of grace that
they're asking for.
Absolutely.
I like that.
And I think that goes unnoticed a lot of the time.
It's like it's one sided.
I haven't heard a dude say I'm just a boy yet. But you'll have a girl say that that's popular now. I'm just a girl.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
I'm supposed to accept that, and I do. But when it comes to my stuff, just remember, hey, I am a dude. You're heartless. You don't have the emotion. That's not my thing. That's your thing.
Yeah. And then he says, don't consider how she's feeling. Now the difficulty with this, and it goes to the dismissive part as well, is like, what do we mean by consider? Obviously, if a woman is coming to a man and she's emoting and she's using her words and her body, all that kind of stuff, we're already reading what's going on. We're hearing the words and we're reading her body language. So there's already some type of consideration going on. Now, to what extent that consideration goes, that's another question. And then to talk about being dismissive, you could be dismissive in your head, you could be dismissive outwardly to where it's demonstrable, right? And the thing is that the man can know, people say things, women and men say things that you realize are ridiculous, right?
Yes.
The child hates me. It's like, in your head, you can dismiss that because you're not going to sit there and really try to pontificate on the fact that this 3-year-old really hate their mom. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to waste time on that. So you are dismissing it. Now, how you display that to her, that's a different story.
That's what we were talking about earlier, is demonstratively dismissing it, right? Dismissing it to where she feels dismissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas 90% of the time I'm dismissing the emotion because I've already identified it as solely that, like, oh, you just emotional. 90% of the time in my head it's dismissed. Like that doesn't make any sense.
The emotion or the point that's being made by her?
The emotion. Okay. The emotion, not the point. I'm going to consider the point and address the point.
So
from a perspective,
our baby hates me. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm dismissing the emotion, but I'm going to address like, hey, the child doesn't hate you. And this is my personal style. I'm gonna ask, right? Because I'm gonna bring both of us back to logic. I'm going to require her to utilize logic. Hey, what makes you think the child hates you? How does a child learn hate? Like where would that hate? Like those types of things where she would be forced to think about it from a place that makes sense and realize like, okay, I am just being emotional. Something happened that I didn't like and I reacted emotionally to it. And now I feel a little bit better. That doesn't mean I feel great, but I backed her off of that ledge.
Yeah.
It's you can still feel the way you feel, but I've addressed it and we're moving forward. Obviously the child doesn't hate you. That doesn't make any sense. Here's why it don't make any sense. Do you agree? Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. That doesn't mean you don't feel bad anymore. It just means you don't feel like the child hates you.
Yeah. Or like it may be as simple as I'm gonna hug her, rub her back, and say, You know, I know that's frustrating. The baby's doing that, you know, and then it's like just her getting that emotional connection and seeing somebody else shares the same type of, or understands at least, can empath, or, you know, where she's coming from. Then she's able to, her mind kicks back in and she realizes that's ridiculous that a 3-year-old could hate.
Yeah. And that, as a leader, I won't say that's your responsibility, but again, if it's about the mission, my goal is to break you off of that as quickly as possible so we can get back to work.
Yeah.
If I dismiss it and just allow you to spiral and stay in that emotion, it's harming the team. Hey, that's ridiculous. That child's 3.
Yeah. And then
or even more like what did she do that makes you think she asked her? I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the last thing I would say. Yeah, start asking them logical questions. Well, what did she do?
There's different ways.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'll play the evil side a little bit. In terms of dismissal or not dismissal, I depending on how, you know, what the scenario is, to Enos' part, his statement earlier about, like, you know, we may not have time for that. I might still address it, but I might say something like, that sounds dumb. That's not the best way to address it, but it was considered.
Yeah.
I might respond in a way that she doesn't like, but like a 3-year-old hates you.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
Pain is an interesting way you're gonna how are you gonna really split that up, because if you internalize or you absorbed whatever was emanating from her, whether it was verbally or just her body language or whatever, you've already in some ways considered it. Now,
correct, 100%.
And then when you're hearing things that you realize, okay, that's asinine, or that's ridiculous, or that's blown out of proportion, or whatever the case may be, even to have that type of thought, you had to consider it. Now, am I going to be insensitive and deride her, or
possibly,
depending upon the situation? Just like sometimes she'll do that, like, why they, you know, that thing, you know, like I've had times when the little air fryer, I cranked it up to 15, 20 minutes and it doesn't even plug it in, you know. So it's like, it was like, look at this chicken. Yeah, the chicken did not cook, you know, and I have to eat that. I got
and you know, you imagine how she would look at you if you were like, I don't, you know, my feelings of her, I don't like the way you said that.
Yeah. I mean,
boy, shut the hell up.
And cook this chicken the right way this time.
And cook this chicken the right way. Don't burn down the house neither.
Yeah. So you got to eat that. So another thing he says is, how do I know if it's a lie or not? I'm not a big fan of the way he does that, because one, it's not the same thing. So one, it may not be a lie, right? She could just be seeing it incorrectly. She could be seeing a situation like that, like my child hates me. I wouldn't interpret that as a lie. I don't think she's intentionally trying to deceive me, you know, by telling me that she's
the blanket affirmation that he put on there. And like I said, after he said it's not about your logic, it's about her emotion in that moment. Once he hit that, everything after that, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. And so that part bothers me. He says, how do I know if she's lying or not? I would more so say that with the man saying, and this is, again, just like women are different, men are different. A man's trying to figure out, how do I know? Because that's part of problem solving. That's epistemology.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out, how do I know which one it is? We can't dismiss the man's problem solving ability.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think he was a bit dismissive on the man's side. That's why it could be pandering, or
that's why it's pandering, because he's not being objective at that point. He's definitely heavily leaning towards the woman, right? It's not about your logic, it's about her emotion, right? If she's a good woman, what does that mean, right? That's the man's logic. Like, what do you mean by good woman? How do I measure that? If she's a good woman, don't project that negativity on her. So you're saying that good people can't lie? You're saying that in her emotion, we've already discovered or discussed that, you know, women are wired differently. You're saying she can't be mistaken in her emotion?
Yeah.
And I'm just supposed to believe whatever she says and take it for that's why it's pandering. Because, like, sir, you're not even, let's what are we doing here?
Is this the man's obligation to solve problems, the solution base?
Yeah, so it's not about her emotion or his logic. If you want to, I want to dispute that too. But it's not about her emotion or his logic. It's about, what do we do to get past this in a healthy way? It's not about their thing. And that's my issue. Again, that's that pandering terminology, the language there. It's like, it's not about your lie about her emotion. No. We're both coming together because of a situation.
Right. If this is a true partnership, again, as a leader, my goal is, hey, how do we move forward?
Yeah,
I'm acknowledging what you got going on. I'm not dismissing it. I'm also not making any decisions based upon it. So let's come together. Let's make the best decision for us, and let's execute.
I've never been a big fan of the follower telling the leader how to lead. Never been a big fan of that. Not saying it's never warranted, but
well, that's what happens when the definition of a leader or the role of a leader is so misconstrued, misrepresented.
Facts. And I want to get into the last two concepts I want to get into that I want to comment on this video is just words being used so loosely and haphazardly. So on the internet, you see all the time, women are emotional and she doesn't care about your logic and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say the logic part for a second. The first thing I want to say is the opposite of emotional is a stoic. It's not logic. The opposite of logic is illogical. So people are mixing up. You could be very emotional and still be logical. You could be
there's plenty of people who are logical and not have a whole bunch of emotion. They're just wrong.
You could be stoic and illogical. But people just so think she's logical. She doesn't need your logic when she's being emotional. The thing is, I'm going to evaluate her logic when she starts to communicate, whether she's emotional or not. And me being stoic doesn't mean that I'm about to be logical when I'm about to say. You know? So
100%.
The internet is full with this false dichotomy of emotional versus logic. Though it's logic versus illogical.
Yeah.
Emotional or emoting versus being stoic. However you want to word that. But it's a misunderstanding that I just see throughout the whole internet. It's permeated the whole internet about this emotion versus logic thing. And it's fun. I'm not saying I get it's fun to contrast the two and juxtapose the two, but those aren't the opposites. Those are antonyms of each other. And the last
but they lend to that argument. They lend to that perspective. So if you dig any deeper, you blow up. You essentially, I'm gonna be honest with you, you blow up an entire industry.
Yeah, but it's more like I see what Vulcan said. It's a negative connotation with being emotional or having emotions. Like logic, superior emotion is negative, but really you can have both. It's good to have. What's wrong having a passion?
It is good to have both.
Emotion, you know?
I could be emotional and be logical at the same time. Or I could be illogical.
Yeah, happy is an emotion. Sad is an emotion. Angry is an emotion. Although they're emotional, so emotional. But again, we tend to designate the negative emotions or the less palatable emotions, and that's the only time we talk about how emotional people are. I know somebody who's always in a cheery mood. At no point in time have I ever heard anyone connotatively call that person emotional. This dude's emotional.
Yeah, we don't typically do that in that situation, and that's
but if you don't do that,
emotional,
look at him emotional. Nah, that's not mood. That's looks. Come on, man, don't do me like that. Looks just went over to London and smoked Twerk's boots, and Mook just got a Hitman up out of here, and Hitman on the internet being emotional. That man went and bought a car because he lost a battle. Disgusting.
So
but getting back to the topic again, go ahead, Vulcan.
Yeah, so the last part I want to do is this word that's always being misused and misapplied is the word logic. When they say that's your logic, that's not what.
Not always.
Do you mind putting logic on the screen, he knows?
Not always. That's very definitive because that always includes you.
All right, y'all could go on
while he's pulling that up. Just to my point earlier, when we're talking about some of these, I'm gonna call them charlatans, and whether they're purposeful charlatans or they're just lazy charlatans, meaning they're not
fundamentals of logic or just the definition of logic.
The definition.
All right, I got you.
A lot of these folks are either too lazy to dig and find out what the two juxtaposed things are, or they're purposely leaning into that because, again, like I said, it's a huge industry right now. Women, if I'm not mistaken, statistically, women are like the biggest spenders. So you tap into that emotion, you lean in, you find, these are people who are looking for like bandwagon people. I apologize for sounding like an idiot, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They're looking for people who already agree, right? with their point, they're looking to take advantage of those folks, right? So let me say the trigger words, the hot words that are going to get them on my side. Yeah, I'll talk about the struggle. Yeah, that'll get them on my side. Those type of people, they're taking advantage of it. I think that's intellectually dishonest. And the Vulcan Soapbox is here to say, hey, beware of those things.
Yeah.
When you see somebody leaning too far to one side, I'm not saying dismiss them out of hand. I'm saying consider why they're leaning so heavily to one side. What's their motivation? That's where the logic and reason, sense of falsifiability, that's where those types of things come in when you're utilizing those tools to evaluate what people are saying. It's just not, just believe him out of hand because he's saying something that I already like. Or vice versa, dismiss him out of hand because he's saying something that I don't like.
All right, the definition for logic. Logic is the study of correct reasoning, especially as it involves the drawing of inferences.
Yeah, inferences. Yeah, and the thing is, I want to also add this definition right here, which I like a little bit more because I think it's a little more clear. It says reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. The reason I want to, you don't have to show that stuff right there. You can take that off the screen now. I don't want people to be distracted by when I'm talking. So the thing is, my point is saying this right here is that logic, you can't say that's your logic or, she doesn't need your logic right now. We mean their reasoning.
I hate that.
We're using reasoning and logic synonymously. She doesn't need to hear your reasoning, but logic is adhering to a certain strict rules of validity. That's the law of identity, law of excluded middle, the law of non-contradiction, the transitive property. Logical is holding firmly to the rules of in the guidelines of reason. That's what it means to be logical. It means you're holding to these, you're keeping all these different principles in line. You're not violating any of them in your communication. But people use logic to say, if I explain why LeBron's better than Jordan, they'll be, oh, that's his logic. No, that's an improper.
That's not logic. That's not how it works.
Reasoning. That's my explanation. That's my perspective. That's not my logic. Nobody has. There's no your logic.
That's just like saying that's his math. 2 + 2. That's his math.
That's the thing. Oftentimes people want to assign when you do use logic. If they don't agree with it, they were like, "Well, that's just your logic." Like, no, logic is just logic. It's my logic and your logic. Just say you disagree.
Yeah, that's
or you don't like it.
Yeah, that's my reasoning. And so people have to understand that because what it does is people start to look at logic negatively because they look at logic as just somebody's opinion. That's his logic. That's his opinion. That's his.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
No. Logic is just as fundamental to the universe and just as useful as mathematics. It's just math.
It is a science.
Yeah.
People oftentimes tell me that's your logic. I'm like, no, logic it's a tool that we all use. It's the same tool. I don't have a version of. I don't have my version of logic. People tell me that all the time. Well, that's your logic. That's not how logic works.
Yeah, that's not how the term is used. And so I think a lot of people do it on the show sometimes. If we throw out a term, then they start saying that's fallacy or what they mean by fallacy is that was wrong. But it's like no,
that's a lie.
Fallacy.
Fallacious logic.
Yeah, fallacy means it violated a law of logic. That's what fallacy is. So what law of logic did I violate or what fallacy is this called? And when we tell people, hey, what fallacy was it? They'll be like, well, he was wrong. It's like, that's not what a fallacy is. You haven't looked it up. So I just want the audience out there to understand that these terms have meanings and we use them loosely. And that's fine. I'm not being a word Nazi, but my point is just saying you do need to know what it actually means because you could start developing negative emotions or feelings towards certain things like he's so logical, blah blah blah. No. It's not. He's being reasonable. Which, if you're a Christian, you're commanded to be reasonable. In Romans 12, we're commanded to be reasonable. So you don't have the liberty to be unreasonable when you feel like it. Yeah. So whenever you're dealing with your lady, she's a human too. She's supposed to be reasonable too. And so what happens is some guys look at it as a negative to actually approach your woman and explain reason to her and hold her accountable for being reasonable. But That's where the Bible says you can't show partiality. You can't use unbalanced scales. And
AKA don't argue with women.
Yeah, and being illogical is being unfair intellectually is what you're doing. When you make illogical judgments, you're being unfair intellectually. And then it manifests with how you carry it out. So I just want the audience out there to understand that these terms have meanings. And I'm not saying don't use them loosely or don't use them colloquially as we do at times, but you need to understand what it really means, because you start having a bad perspective of something based off how people are using it, not what it actually means. And then you don't know.
That's a good distinction.
Yeah, you don't know.
That doesn't mean, even though people use it loosely, and the difference is if you know what it actually means when someone calls you out or asks for clarification, you're able to offer this as opposed to taking it offensively, like they're trying to question you, like, oh, I did use that kind of loosely. Here's what I actually meant. You can take it as, in stride and adjust and get back to the conversation instead of taking it off rails with your emotions.
I think part of the problem, because there's so much ignorance when it comes to what logic is and what a fallacy is and how to think critically, because we use words so cavalier and so haphazardly. What ends up happening is that nobody ever, if you think you already know, how many times have we been talking about a certain term and we think that somebody thinks they know what it is and they finally look into it and they realize, oh, I didn't realize
that's not even what he was saying.
Yeah, I didn't realize even all that was in that term. And now that I looked it up, my understanding of how to use it and what it is and how it can benefit my life and protect me and is enhanced immensely. Yeah, but I just thought I knew what the word meant the whole time. I know Enos and I had conversations about that stuff in the past about certain terms. And
especially the word logic, just to give the audience more context, man.
I don't want to call you out, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely already did, though.
Vulcan called me, it was some years ago. He was like, hey, man, I'm studying logic. I'm like, bro, everybody know what logic is. I'm not talk about this for a whole hour. And then know that, hey, man, these are principles, these are foundations that build institutions. And really, we operate off these institutions, don't even realize it because we don't have the terms and the name for it. And that's why I see in these relationship dynamics, a lot of men on one side are saying, hey, women are illogical, but they don't really know the fundamental principles. I'm not even going to say really, they don't know the fundamentals of logic and how this is really a way of life. So yeah,
bring your mouth, Enos.
Yeah, that's one thing. Once I humble myself and start looking into the philosophical implications, I was like, oh wait, this is a whole another side of the world that really helps builds your character when you have a deep understanding of what logic truly is. So
yeah. So if you want to
I just want to point out that Enos, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but once Enos was able to, like you said, humble yourself, that was a key word for me, because all it doesn't take anything away. It allows you to grow. Once you humble yourself and realize, like, oh, there's more here. You step through that door, and it opens up a whole new world to you, and all you do is grow. You become a better individual. Would you agree with that, Enos?
Yeah, I do.
So don't take that humble. A lot of people hear that humble word, and to them it has a negative connotation because it makes them feel like less than, but that's not the case.
Yeah, I want to add this point too. Is a lot of men say, "Oh, women are emotional, women aren't logical. I'm logical," but if you just suspend your assumption that you understand what that means and what all that entails, and you actually do a deep dive and learn what logic is, you may get to a point to where she's more receptive to your reasoning because you understand it better. So now you can communicate it more concise and more clearly. And then you might see her following you a little easier. Yeah, you esteem more than her in conversation a lot of times, but you didn't understand the concept enough to make it sure she understood it and could follow you easier and leave bigger breadcrumbs. And I think
the deeper.
Go ahead.
I was just on the deeper understanding that you have, the better you're able to communicate it. The more depth you can offer someone else. If you have a surface level understanding of it, how would you help someone else understand the depths of the whys and the whats and the hows?
Yeah. You may not have if you don't have anything for her to land on, you may be saying, hey, you're being illogical, but you don't understand logic enough to explain to her what that actually means. It looks like you're just doing the same patriarchal talking points that men have levied on women for centuries. You're illogical. You're too emotional. But if you can say, hey, look, logic is a set of rules. So when you're saying this right here that violates this principle, she can read it out. And a lot of our women are very studious and know how to read books and learn how to articulate themselves better than the men do.
The students.
Yeah, they extol those virtues once you show them.
Yeah. She might be correcting you in a couple of weeks. Like, hey, look, I think that was a fallacy what you just did right there. You like, what? You know,
that's when you got to get into it. No.
We get canceled, y'all.
This gonna be our last show. Yeah, for the record, I'm joking. Never do it.
So, unless I don't know if you want to get into the comments of this, so wrap it up. It's up to you.
Yeah. While you pulling up those comments, oftentimes if you take the time to explain something and coach and help grow your woman, your partner, your wife, your girlfriend. A lot of times when women are talking about like, yeah, I'm looking for someone who's like, that is a sign of leadership. That's a virtue of leadership, is being able to, a lot of women say, I want a man who can teach me something. A man who can help me grow as a person. Imagine if you understood that in depth and was able to offer her that and y'all grow together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That shit is going to run a lot more smoothly.
That someone disagree with what we're saying. So
well, tell them meet me outside and let's fight about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm joking.
Okay, so Logic. It's sometimes like it's something like, oh, she's tripping. She's bringing stuff up. Most don't care about the what is it? Most don't care. They just point out that they assume she's a drama queen. My dude is coming to you of her concern. I read that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no clue with that.
I
wasn't able to follow that at all.
Yeah. Okay. So Logic, it's something like she's tripping.
So I mean, I'll address it. You gonna address it? He knows.
No, you go ahead.
Hey, Vulcan, before you address it, can you clarify? I don't know what they're even trying to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna go line by line.
Yeah, let's do
that.
Okay, so logic, ? Is something like, oh, she tripping. No, that's not logic. She tripping is not logic.
Oh, they're offering a scenario?
Logical deductions. You may be observing body language. So why are you saying she's tripping? Is because she's saying something that's irrational, illogical. Like we mentioned before about the 3-year-old, the mom's, been trying to breastfeed or, been trying to change the diaper and the baby's not cooperating. She goes, the baby hates me. The baby hates me. Yeah, that's obviously she's tripping. I mean, the baby don't hate you. You're the life source of the baby. The baby loves you more than anything else on this earth. But I don't even know. Maybe can babies even hate at that age? Who knows? But my point is saying, your logic is something like, oh, she's tripping. No, that's you. That might be a logical deduction you're doing. Nothing wrong with you observing that she's tripping. Now that's internal. That's in your head. Now, what you choose to manifest outside of that, what she can see of you, that where we need to, in some ways, mitigate
consider
potential damage that she causes by displaying that she's tripping. It could be more like, okay, what's the problem? What's going on? And there's problems you might be like, hey, you tripping. Sometimes people need to hear you tripping.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's not always a positive, flowery response. Sometimes it is like, that sounds dumb. Now, let me tell you what. Let's talk about why that sounds dumb.
Yeah. Now, the thing about her being a drama queen, a lot of times, I mean, this is your lady. If she's a drama queen or not, regardless of the situation that's at hand. And just because she's a drama queen doesn't mean that she's not. Sometimes just because she could be blowing stuff out of proportion, but it can still be an issue. It may be
a lot of women,
and she's making it a level 7 or 8.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, a lot of times women who, this is what you would consider a drama queen, a lot of times they're drama queens because they're allowed to be. And I'm not saying like you take control. It's like if no one ever addresses those situations from a perspective from a different perspective, using cognition and that's not the word I wanted to use. Using logic, being reasonable. If no one backs that down, like Vulcan was saying, from like a level 7 to a level 5 and works it down with them, then you allow them to spiral out. If that's what they're comfortable with, and no one ever, helps them out of that, then I'm gonna go back to the leadership thing. I kind of put that on the man in the relationship. If your woman is a drama queen and she continues to be a drama queen, what are you doing to help with that?
Yeah, and for some, I mean, like there's been studies done on women when it comes to them expressing their discontentment about things or even playing the victim and stuff like that. There are some studies that suggest that yes, women are prone to, see themselves as victims a little bit more than men would see themselves as victims, and also to think that somebody's out to get them when they're not always have people out to get them. So that is something that's a proclivity they have. Goes back to what the guy was saying about women and men being biologically different. Men can also be very dismissive at times. So women sometimes have to be drama queens because the men that they're dealing with are a little dismissive.
Yes, consider what I'm saying. And that's the thing, you can dismiss the emotion. I don't even say dismiss, I'm saying dismiss the emotion, not the art, not the substance, not the content. Yeah. I'm being a drama queen about this. So yes, I'm emotional about it, but let's take the emotion out of it. Let's address what your issue is. Let's address why you think the baby hates you. I'm not going to just be like, obviously the baby doesn't hate you. I'm not going to deal with this. That's going to exacerbate the situation oftentimes, or at the very least drive a wedge between you and your partner, you and your first mate, however you want to shake it. It's not, you don't address the emotion. You don't get hysterical with her. Like, oh, obviously the child doesn't hate you. Why do you think that?
Yeah, and then we got to make a distinction between sometimes when it comes to whether she wants coming to you to vent or she wants to solve a problem or make sure that.
Yeah, that was a lesson I had to learn because I'm always in problem solve mode. Sometimes, this is not just with women I've dated. Sometimes it's, with friends that I have. Hey, CJ, I don't need you to solve my problems. And there was a time where I was like, all right, well, then don't talk to me about it. All right, just shut up about it. But that's, as a friend, as a partner, I had to realize, I started just preemptively asking, like, hey, before we get too deep into this, you looking for a solution or you looking for a sounding board? Because I need to know how to carry it.
Or maybe sometimes it's like it's going to be done in succession. It's like first I'm going to start off being a sounding board, let you get your stuff off, and then we can come to some kind of resolution later on. So sometimes it's going to be like that. Sometimes it's time sensitive. You need a solution right now.
Once you come off that emotional high horse, now we can actually have a conversation about it. So I just let you get that off. You ready to talk about it now? Okay, cool.
Exactly. So the only thing I just want to make sure that the ladies out there understand is just like you're different as the guy said, the man's different too. So he shouldn't be shamed because he's a problem solver. He shouldn't be shamed because his first thought is to solve the problem. It doesn't mean that he thinks you're weak or whatever the case may be. That's his biological nature to be a problem solver.
That doesn't mean he's emotionally like stunted or any of that. It's just the way your first instinct is to emote. His first instinct is to solve your problem.
Yeah,
that's his way of getting of removing the emotion. Hey, you obviously have a problem. Let's solve it. So really, at least what I'm saying is, if we're being honest, and you guys have heard me talk about this on the pod a bunch, effective communication.
Yeah, effective communication.
That's where that comes in. Hey, what do you need from me? And then you need to be able to effectively communicate what you need from him so he can supply it. I don't need a solution right now. I just want you to listen to me. Okay, cool. So it is a partnership. It's not one person decision like, oh, you tripping and dismiss it. Okay, cool. Now that's a one-sided decision. No partnership in that. And of course, her feeling like her emotions carry the weight. You deal with my emotions and how I'm presenting them no matter what. That's also a one-sided decision. There's no partnership in that. Effective communication helps to bring that out, I should say, not expose it.
Yeah. Any more comments, Enos?
No, that's it.
Okay, well then, so I guess
everybody's agree with what we saying.
Wrap it up, B.
All right. Hey, we definitely need like a soundboard or something to pop up on screen because I wrap it up, B, from the Chappelle show
Yeah.
with the box. Hey, yo, wrap it up. Hit that red button. Classic.
Yeah, so I just start off with the closing statements, you know. And for for everybody that's watching the show, I know you see Vulcan. The Vulcan soapbox, a lot of people may not know what that means, you know. If we know anything about Star Trek, you know, they are noted for the Vulcans on the Star Trek series was noted for their obedience to logic. The way to end this, do my close statement after the last topic, but their obedience to logic and reason, and just doing their best to suppress their emotion and not allow their emotions to make sound judgments.
Lead.
Yeah, lead judgments. I like that better. So, again, that is the framework we go off of, is how to think more critically. And this is the strong foundation that will help you strengthen your arguments, strengthen your mind. You know, you strengthen your mind, your speech will get better too. So mind, thought, and speech. I'm saying thought and speech. But I'm Enos, man. I'm glad for. Thank y'all for tuning in. Glad for y'all to join us. Until next time, we got fresh.
Listen, guys, just make sure that you evaluate everything that comes in with the tools that we are offering on the channel. That's the bulk of it. It's not one way or the wrong way, or one way is right or wrong is wrong. There's no it's utilizing the tools to evaluate and examine everything that is incoming. That way you can make a decision that's based off of these values, the science, the methods. Vulcan Soapbox, that's what we're about. I was trying to think, Vulcan, you got to do a better job than both of us, because
mine's gonna be pretty short and sweet. I was looking at the comments. There were some good comments in there, but
you found some comments in there? Okay.
Read the comments then.
No, y'all already closing it out, so we'll close it out right now. You know,
I love another shot at it.
So at least we did a 3-minute show today. But everybody out there in the audience, all the folks out there, people that appreciate critical thinking and reasoning, people that want the context whenever they're hearing a situation,
context,
emotionally and racially charged topics, or political topics, or domestic topics, dating topics, the full context. Let's dive into the words. Let's get into the meaning. Let's get into the exchange and
the intention.
We can build something and get somewhere we haven't been before, potentially. So that's what this show's about. Like the Vulcans, they're about being logical, about being reasonable, and they were about not letting things compromise the integrity of their ability to reason and to be logical. So that's what this show is about right here, y'all. So all you email us. Some of y'all have emailed us before. I wanted to be on the show. We probably should have had some of them on the show today, but keep doing that. If you got any topics you want us to address, send them, inbox us, whatever way you can. Our emails was normally it's on the bottom. I think our email wasn't on there today. Was it? Yeah. So, not today, I guess. You can't email us, but let's end of the show. Vulcan Soapbox.
Hey.
You can put them in the comments of the YouTube video. Put them in the comment section, gang.
I'm here to stand on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world.
On this show.
This is the hottest show on the planet right now.
What's the debate?
Ain't no debate.
What else?